San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Monday morning to everybody out there in America's finest city. Already a beautiful morning, at least here in Serra Mesa, where the Odyssey Empire is. Looks a little socked in at the beach based on our angle of the 6th floor over here in Serra Mesa. But that being said, the fact that we don't have any cloud cover already is great news. Maybe it's finally going to start turning into July. The last, week of July. And a big week it is for your San Diego Padres. After what was a pretty salvageable weekend for the San Diego Padres against the Cardinals. We talked about on Friday, trying to find a way to at least take 2 out of 3 of the weekend after losing Thursday's game in St. Louis. And the Padres offense was very good on Thursday. Unfortunately, Yu Darvish was really bad, and we talked about that on Friday. Then you had the offense become really bad on Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, the Padres were able to eke out some victories. I thought you had a pretty decent outing at Pivetta on Friday. Miles Michaelis apparently was just better. Pivetta 6 1/3, 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned. The 2 walks really set him in at that point in time. And the Padres had 11 hits and didn't score, which is the first time since 1998. Before we start making 1998 comparisons, obviously a drastically different team. A very frustrating game on Friday when you get a lot of hits. And I keep trying to tell people that, like, I've been saying it for 2 years now about the slug. Everybody knows about the slug now. I mean, the Padres have 0 slug. They have a couple of guys that could hit the gaps every once in a while, but they don't really have any power hitters on the team. You can say what you want about Fernando hitting moonshot home runs when he does hit home runs. And you can talk about Manny Machado hitting home runs. They're not power hitters. This team lacks power hitters in general. The only one that they really have is Gavin Sheets, and he got DFA'd by the White Sox last year. So they don't really have any power bats. And so the lack of slug is definitely a problem. They're getting hits, though. I mean, they've constantly gotten hits all year long. So again, 11 hits, didn't score a run, very frustrating. People are ready to just pivot and just be like, all right, maybe it's time to sell. Maybe it's time to sell at the deadline. Come on, man. The knee-jerk reactions. I thought we've tried to eliminate the whole windsock thing on this show. It's going to be hard. We're trying to fight the good fight against the Windsox, but saying after Friday night it's time to sell is utterly ridiculous. You still have 2 more games left. And in those 2 games, another gritty performance by Randy Vasquez. Another great gritty performance out of Randy Vasquez. I mean, at this point in time, as everybody waits for him to just not have it, he continues to put out good outings as a number 5 starter. In reality, he's your number 5 starter, right? I mean, obviously with injuries and how everything's shaping up, I guess you could say he's not. You know, he started the rotation as a number 3 starter. There it is. But he does a great job. He does a great job, Randy Vasquez. He did another great job on Saturday. Didn't get the run support. Padres were 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position, left 10 on base. They could have blown that thing open against St. Louis multiple times. They didn't. But you got a good outing out of Randy Vasquez, who continues to pitch well. He's a guy that I can't stomach potentially trading at the deadline, which I don't think the Padres will. But that was Saturday night. Then you talk about Sunday's game, and the bats came alive early and often yesterday. Stephen Kolek did what he needed to do. He's usually done well, pitching with a lead. 6 innings, 2 runs, 4 hits, 2 strikeouts, only 3 walks through 98 pitches. Machado, 4 for 5 with a double and 3 RBIs that capped off what was the most hits in a 4-game series in Manny Machado's career. He's starting to heat up at the proper time. He had Xander Bogaerts hit a home run yesterday. I mean, overall, the Padres got the bats out and did an excellent job against the St. Louis Cardinals, a team that they're relatively competing with, not really. And for 2 straight days on Saturday and Sunday, the Padres won and everybody else in the National League West lost. San Francisco got their ass handed to them by the New York Mets all weekend long. That again continued last night on Sunday Night Baseball. They're now only 2 games above 500. Padres have a 3-game lead on San Francisco. The Los Angeles Dodgers lost twice over the weekend to the Boston Red Sox. They're now 61-45. And you look at the NL West standings, and the San Diego Padres are 4 games behind LA. Just 4 games behind LA in the standings. So despite everything that's happened for the San Diego Padres in 2025, everything that Padres fans have complained about, you are a couple of days away from the trade deadline, which is on Thursday at 3 o'clock Pacific time, in which the team is expected to make a decent amount of moves and could be very active at the deadline. Just because they didn't do anything over the weekend doesn't mean they're not going to do anything. I've had so many people complain about it. I had my brother text me this morning. When's AJ Preller going to get off his ass and go make some trades? I like, easy, brother. Patience. They're looking for the right deals. They got a lot of moving parts. This isn't something that's just going to happen as soon as you want it to happen. It's going to happen before 3 o'clock on Thursday, but you got to give them some time to try to figure this thing out. 4 games behind LA for the number 1 spot in the National League West. Not only that, again, despite everything that's happened with the Padres this year, everything, all the negative, even the positives, you can say what you want about this team. They don't do this well. They don't do that well. They're only 5.5 games back behind the National League leading Chicago Cubs / Milwaukee Brewers. The Cubs and the Brewers have the best records right now in the National League. The Padres are just 5.5 games behind them. I mean, think about that for a second. So not only are you right there on the Dodgers' tail, you're right there on the top of the National League's tail with the Cubs and the Brewers with the kind of second or, last third of the season to go. That's a great spot to be in. Great spot to be in if you're the San Diego Padres. And you know what? They end up going 500 on a road trip that they probably could have done a lot better. They took 2 out of 3 from Washington. It would have been better. It would have been better if they took 2 out of 3 from Miami. I agree. But they didn't. It happens. And then they split with St. Louis. A 500 road trip. It doesn't really matter who you're playing. You'd go 500 on the road. You stayed within position. You didn't lose a lot of ground. Didn't really gain any ground, but you didn't lose any ground. You're in a very good spot. Now you're taking on the NL East leading New York Mets, who are red hot right now, winning 7 straight games. So that sets up for a pretty big series tonight between the Padres and the Mets. Now, if you look at the overall standings, we're going to talk about the crucial 42 at 10:30. But you look at the standings, you look who's competing and who's not competing. The National League is pretty cut and dry. Chicago and Milwaukee are battling for the number 1 spot in the Central. The other team is probably going to be in the playoffs. The Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets are battling for the National League East. The loser of that will probably be in the playoffs. The Padres and Dodgers competing for the National League West with only a 4-game difference. And then the Cincinnati Reds are trying to climb their way into that last spot. That's basically it. If you look at the Giants, they're still hanging on. They're only 3 games back. St. Louis has already announced that they're trying to sell at the deadline. We'll wait until the deadline is over before I have an opinion on the St. Louis Cardinals and whether or not they're competing. But they're a game above 500. Arizona's already sold 2 pieces. They're 6 games back of the wild card spot. So overall, looking at the standings, you essentially have, until the Padres and the Reds can track down the Phillies, you essentially have 3 teams battling for one spot. It's the Padres, it's the Reds, and it's the Giants. So when thinking of trying to potentially make the postseason, because that's what you need to worry about first, solidifying a spot in the postseason, you got to hold off the Reds. I'm not a huge believer in Cincinnati. We'll see what they do at the deadline. I don't think they have enough pieces to make it through the end of the season, especially with their pitching staff. But they got a pretty big series that starts tonight at Great American Ballpark between the Reds and the Dodgers. Now, this is kind of a win-win, lose-lose for the Padres. If the Dodgers lose, well, you can gain some ground in the standings potentially with every win you have against the New York Mets and track down the Dodgers. The problem is, if the Reds continue to win, now you're trying to hold off the Reds for that final wild card spot. And the same thing goes the other way. The Dodgers take 2 out of 3, and the Reds lose 2 out of 3. You can pick up some games. Now, the ideal situation would be you got to match what the Dodgers do, and it would be better if the Dodgers took 2 out of 3 from Cincinnati, and you took 2 out of 3 from the New York Mets. That would be the ideal scenario because you don't lose ground against the Dodgers at the end of 3, and then you distance yourself a little bit from Cincinnati before the trade deadline. But that's a big series. Cubs and Brewers are this week. That's a huge series in Major League Baseball. The red-hot Texas Rangers in the American League have gotten closer to Houston after the Athletics swept Houston over the weekend. They're up in Anaheim to take on the Angels. That's a pretty big series. The Giants are hosting the Pirates. Hopefully, Paul Skeens and company can do the Lord's work and just put the Giants out of their misery, at least if you're a Padres fan. Some pretty important series this week in the hunt for October. We'll talk more about that at 10:30 when we talk about the Crucial 42, but let's talk a little bit more about Manny Machado's weekend that he had in St. Louis, because it was an eventful one in more ways than none. We'll talk about that as we just get things started on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10-18. We were close, Frank, on the crucial 42. Like 41.
Well, the original plan for the 42 was once you get
To
to
60.
60 wins, but then we
Or
kind of
losses.
plotted out how many games were needed, where the big games were, and we came up one short.
If I did the math correctly, which is
Always sketchy.
always great. Thank you to Schoolhouse Rock for the threes. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I just literally counting by threes is so easy for me for that particular reason.
Same exact thing.
We got the 41 game for the crucial 42. So, we'll figure out the last game. That's important there. But as of right now, we're 2-2 in the crucial 42.
Who wants a crucial game against the Rockies?
I was thinking about that. At least one crucial game against the Rockies.
Just throw a random Tuesday against the Rockies.
Hit a 3-game series against Minnesota. You got to win at least one of those, maybe. I mean, ideally, you have to win 2 of those games. Maybe the last game of the year against Arizona. Don't get swept by the White Sox. You got to win 1 game against the White Sox.
There you go.
Because September is a lot easier of a schedule for the Padres, at least by that time. You got to deal with the Reds, right? Who knows where they're going to be at by that point in time in the year. That could be a very critical series, but at least it's at home. Baltimore's out of it. Rockies are out of it. You got the Rockies twice. You got Baltimore. You got the White Sox. You do have the Mets and the Brewers, but who knows where they are at that point in time of the year. And then you finish with Arizona. We'll figure that out.
Actually, finishing the year at home this year, too.
Which is great. A little East Coast road trip, though, in September is not ideal, but going to New York and Chicago. That's kind of a fun little road trip, huh?
Yeah.
Well, New York, Chicago. You know, if I wasn't coaching high school football, that'd be a good week to get on the road. Get some good food in New York and Chicago.
Absolutely.
Commercial music still
I
playing.
know. It's been off for a minute.
Okay. I love that. I hate when that happens. Get pizza in New York and then not pizza in Chicago.
Exactly.
I'm not a deep dish guy.
Nope.
Not a fan.
No one should
Sicilian
be.
style pizza, also
That's
Detroit
fair.
style.
That's fair.
That's fair. I agree. Never really been into the Chicago style pizza. All right, let's talk about Manny Machado. Manny Machado had a lot to talk about the last couple of days. I don't know if I didn't ask you for this, Frank, so I don't know if you have it or not. Manny Machado talking about getting hit twice.
has it.
I do want to hear this. Manny was on a tear this weekend. And while Frank gets that loaded up, let's talk about what Manny did this weekend. I mean, think about the career Manny Machado has had. We've talked about this a couple of times, right? Manny Machado's had a great career. Phenomenal career. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer as of right now, so a lot more to go. That actually sparks a debate because they announced the class that is eligible for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame, and Phillip Rivers is on there. Phillip Rivers a first ballot Hall of Famer? I say yes. He won't be because they're like, he didn't win any Super Bowls.
Yeah, and that's
Better than Eli Manning, dude. Eli Manning, that's they beat they won because he won two world championships and 2 Super Bowls doesn't mean anything. Trent Dilfer's got a Super Bowl. I don't need the Super Bowl thing. Stan Fouts lousy because he won a Super Bowl?
Yes.
Give me a break. Give me a break. Winning a Super Bowl is a team effort, not just a quarterback thing. But, you know, there's a lot of reporters that vote on stuff that are dumb. By the way, how did Ichiro not become a unanimous Hall of Famer?
Because somebody wanted to be famous.
Exactly. That's why I hate Hall of Fames. That's why I hate the discussion. Because there's too many dopes like that have to like weigh in some BS. And like, look, I'm going to be popular. I'm going to be the guy that didn't vote for Ichiro, and I'm going to come up with some BS stat that says why he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. It's like, whatever, dude. His speech was epic, especially when he told the Marlins he didn't even know who they were when they called him in 2015.
Yep.
I mean, think about all the years he played Major League Baseball. He had to have played the Marlins at least a couple of times, even though he was in the American League.
Yeah. Once every 3 years.
Still didn't know they existed.
Even went to Miami a couple times.
The Marlins have 2 World Series. Ichiro. No idea who you are, dude.
Good old Pro Player Stadium at that time.
Ichiro knew about the Padres, though. The Vetter Cup. Guy was dialed. All right, back to Manny. So let's think about Manny's entire career, right? Phenomenal player. He has had an illustrious career. Still got a lot of years left in his career. And he still accomplished something this week that they'd never done before. And that's get the most hits in a 4-game series of his career. 11 for 17, 3 doubles, a home run, 5 RBIs, got hit twice. That was a problem. Obviously had the dust up on Saturday after 2 hit-by pitches. But the guy was phenomenal. It's a big reason why he gets a large percentage of your contracts handed out, right? A large percentage of the money goes to him for reasons like this. You want your stars to help carry your team when you need them the most. And that right now is right now. And he did it in St. Louis. Salvaged the weekend a little bit. He was great. And this is what you need. You need him to be great at this point in the season. Now he needs a little bit of help. It was a eventful weekend for Manny Machado. He's deactivated his Instagram account, apparently. That popped up over the weekend. Not going to dive into that too much. But also, what's going on with John Jay? That was odd to me. Did anybody talk about this yet today? I mean, that was very interesting what happened on Saturday. So Manny gets hit twice, gets hit in the elbow guard. I have to say this for everybody, for all the hit by a pitch this weekend, how many of them were hit in the elbow guard for both players? Almost everybody, right?
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, the last one Contreras got hit by, he leaned into it. He threw a little flipper up there to get on base. I don't want to hear anybody really complain about getting hit in the elbow guard. I mean, come on. I'm sure getting hit by a fastball is not great. Do I want to stand in the box and get hit by a pitch? Probably not. But if I got hit in the elbow guard, I'd probably rather take that than one in the ribs. So the complaining about getting hit in the elbow guard is one thing. Okay? I don't think Manny Machado was hit intentionally when he got hit the second time. But that being said, I agree with Manny. Like he said in the Dodgers series, what is the point of the warnings? What is the point of the warnings? Jesse Agler explained it well on the broadcast and the radio broadcast, talking about in this day and age, now after the warnings are given out, then they discuss whether or not it's intentional. Well, then what's the point of it? Then shouldn't every game start with a warning then? If you're just going to discuss it? What's the point of going through like warning, warning, if you're still going to talk about whether or not the guy was hit intentionally or not? You got warned. You can't pitch. And you hit the guy in an accident. You're out of the game. I don't know that seems pretty clear to me. But in the whole thing, Manny's obviously pissed off. Okay? It's hotter than the sun in St. Louis. It's humid. It's not a great place to be. All right? At that point in time, it's late in the game. Levels are high. Right? And so he's obviously upset. And then I thought Tony Gwynn. I thought Tony Gwynn Jr. did a great thing too and explained, like, you know what? Even if it was unintentional, nobody talk to Mick. Just let him walk down to first base. If you don't say anything, it will probably be fine. But no, there's a bunch of guys that wanted to be a peacekeeper or a peacemaker. And one of them was John Jay. This is interesting to me. The T on this is fascinating. I got to know more. John Jay, former Padre for a year, not when Manny was here, but I think when Yonder was here, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yeah.
John Jay, who in a Players Tribune article is with Manny and Yonder, and they worked out together. They're boys. They went into each other's house. It's an adorable article. They're playing basketball together like they're the best of friends. This is from like 2016. They're like the tightest group. The Chicago White Sox signed John Jay and Yonder Alonso to try to get Manny to sign with them. And yet, John Jay gets in the middle of this entire situation yesterday, or 2 days ago, and Manny is just like incensed with John Jay. John Jay ends up getting ejected from the game. And then you get to postgame, and we're going to play Manny's sound in a second, but you get to postgame, and it did not sound like they're boys. They did not sound like they're boys. And what did Yonder Alonso tweet out? What did Yonder Alonso tweet out to just add gasoline to the fire? Manny's comments and Yonder Alonso's tweet just made this story blow up even more. I have to know more. I will tell you what Manny said, and I'll tell you what Yonder tweeted when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:33 on a Monday morning. Padres, New York Mets starting up this week. We got, is that tomorrow? July 29th? Yes. Padres Mets at 6:40 tomorrow will be the Sandless Beach Towel Night presented by Southwest Airlines. Donning the brown and gold, the first 40,000 fans in attendance will receive a Sandless Beach Towel presented by Southwest Airlines. You can use this as a blanket or a towel or both. First pitch is at 6:40. Gates are open to the public 90 minutes prior. Arrive early. For more information, visit Padres.com/giveaways. I will be attending the game tomorrow. I have tickets to the game tomorrow. So I will be there. I will get my blanket. The Sandless blanket. I needed that for Over the Line about a month ago is when I needed that.
It's not a theme game, right? It's just a regular promotion.
That's a regular promotion. That's
Okay.
First 40,000 is
go.
getting that. That's a money giveaway. I always thought it was like way in the past, even back to the Qualcomm days. I remember the giveaways. Some of the giveaways were awesome. I remember getting like a Tony Gwynn bat, like replica bat. There's obviously a reason why they don't do those anymore. But I remember like they used to do the beach towel giveaway in August all the time. Why wouldn't you do the beach towel giveaway like earlier in the year? Like do it in like May or something, like before you use it for like the entire beach year, right? I never understood it, but there's probably a rhyme or reason to it. I'm sure there's a great reason for it.
I'm sure there is.
Maybe I'm asking questions to answers I don't want to hear. I never know.
You're digging too deep in. You got to just let it be surface level.
Because August, that's when you do different giveaways. You do different giveaways in August. Not the beach towel. It's beach towel specific. Oh, here's a cool new beach towel. All the kids are back in school. What am I going to use this for? Oh, I'll wait till May.
The giant
September is great for the beach in San Diego. We talked about this last week.
the giant straw hat works well in August as well.
That's right.
That's just your summertime giveaway.
It's true. San Diego summer starts in July. Well, it gets a lot of, it gets cold and stuff. Uh-oh, you're in trouble now.
Yeah.
He's got a hat too, but his hair grew out too long, so he can't wear the hat. Otherwise, he's just getting you're just getting ridiculed in the chat.
Listen,
Frank is a longtime Mets guy.
I'm not going to be fake with you guys. I do root for the Padres, and I do hope they succeed. However, not at the expense of one New York Metropolitans. However, now that being said, I am fully anticipating a loss tonight. I don't believe the Grimace era went past 7-0. I'm not expecting the Pablo Sanchez era to go beyond 7-0. I'm going to be truthful with you guys at whatever cost. See, there you go. Thank you, Karen. At least I'm not a Yankee fan. I am going to be truthful with you guys, period. And that is the way it also creates a fun little dynamic on our show that's exclusive to our show. Ben, Woods, Paul, all Padre fans. Scraby, Padre fan. Tony, of course. And Elo's a Rockies fan. You're really going to kick the poor Rockies fan when he's down? Like, come on.
I mean, Woods grew up a Yankees fan, right? So he's like a
Yeah, but he's
and
converted.
Paul's from Seattle, so
Woodsy has said he's converted.
He's a converted fan now.
I am not. I am an unabashed Mets fan. So if you guys want to rip me in the chat, if you guys want to call up and mess around, I'm all for it.
Oh, you should have seen Frank the other day
I
when
am
Derek
all
and
for
La
it.
Mesa was upset with Penn State being ranked above Oregon. I know enough about Penn State that I was laying out. Frank's turned purple and was about to explode. And then right before Derek got off the air, he jumps on. Ah! Okay, got it. Penn State Mondays. Victory. You know what? During the football season, I'm all about Victory Mondays. We will be wearing TCU stuff. It usually costs me money at Cathedral because I have to be in proper attire for our Rue system. It's worth $5 to me. Victory Monday here. Yep. There's the purple. We don't play the purple school anymore in town because they don't want to play us. So I'll rep the purple. We'll rep the frogs.
It gives us, me, you, and the listeners a relationship that is unlike any other show on this station. We can rip each other about our teams that are different. It's not the same team. It's not just an echo chamber. Now, that's not to say I'm going to lie about the Padres to make the Mets seem better. I'm not going to do that. If I see something wrong, if I see something right, if I see something the Padres are doing better, I will say it without issue. But I don't mind having a little fun banter back and forth with you guys, because that's something that is sorely lacking in sports radio here. And it's also something fun that is to our show.
Your jersey doesn't offend me. If it was a Dodgers jersey, it would offend me. But it's not. So I think we're okay. All right, back to the Manny John Jay drama. That was interesting. So to recap what we talked about in the last segment leading into this one, John Jay, Manny Yonder used to be boys, apparently. They used to work out together in Miami, all from Miami. They had a Players Tribune thing on it, all about Miami, right? It's a cute little article. They're playing basketball at somebody's house. They're working out together. Like, they're just three dudes that are just boys. And then, yeah, a little bit of scuffling on Saturday, and all of a sudden, we got some issues. I don't know what happened. The T on this is great. So John Jay played for the Padres in 2016, a long career. He's now retired and has got into coaching. He coaches for the St. Louis Cardinals, where I think most people remember him as a St. Louis Cardinal as a player. At one point in time, this is how close these guys were. The White Sox signed John Jay on a one-year deal and Yonder Alonso to try to get Manny Machado to be a Chicago White Sox the same year the Padres grabbed Manny Machado. All three of these guys played in San Diego at some point in time, none of them together. And so the interesting thing is, and Adam sent you the clean version.
No, I know. I'm wondering, I was just going to ask him, is that the same version that was up on Twitter? Because I have the Twitter link pulled.
Is that one clean?
If it was posted by our station on Twitter, I would have to assume that
I would not assume anything.
You're going to assume that we
sometimes
the station posted.
It's online, dude. It's like we don't get in trouble for that as much. Oh, Adam says it is.
Okay,
right.
So it's the same thing.
It is.
All right.
All right. So this is what Manny had to say post game. Obviously, he was upset. Got hit twice. Padres did win. It's hot outside. Tempers flare, everything like that. Understand the context of the situation. Here's the comments by Manny Machado post-game after getting hit on Saturday. A little bit about John Jay.
Thinking on it, going with this person hit twice in the game. What do you make of kind of both of those kind of like unfolded?
Well, the first one, obviously, kind of knew it was all coming. Especially with what happened yesterday, and then that inning right before. They had a guy warming up in right field already trying to come in, and then the starter comes back out. You kind of already know what's going to happen. So, you just take it, go to first, move on. We're all good. And then, obviously warnings get issued, and then, obviously you get another one up and in. So, just it is what it is.
Was there frustration that warnings have been issued?
I don't really care. That's up to the umpires. They handle situations however they want to handle it. But yeah, as a player, yeah, for sure you're frustrated.
I think you and John Jay are pretty good friends.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I know the real him.
So you clearly weren't happy, but what was?
Yeah. No, I wasn't happy with the whole situation at all. So, yeah.
He got ejected. So
don't come out there and start yapping your mouth.
So we were mistaken. You're not.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What was the biggest frustration for you with, saying you're upset with the situation? What was the frustration? That you had been hit? Or was it that?
You want to go here? Look. You want my BGs too? You want my BGs? You want to go up there and hit? You let me know how that feels.
Can't put that.
All right. Yeah. So yeah. That answers your question there. It's just here's what it is. Poor kid. He comes up. I know he probably doesn't want to do that in that situation. Obviously, you see him what he does. It kind of feels bad. It's just you're just pissed off. It is what it is. There's nothing to it. But then you got somebody else coming up and yapping it now. That's when it starts getting real.
Did you got to see coaches get involved like that? What did he generally?
That's
he say to you?
between me and him. I ain't gonna try to make you guys a better story. That's between me and him. So we'll figure it out.
I wonder what happened. It's like this fascinating information. BGs are batting gloves, dude. Come on now. There you go. I mean, obviously he's upset about getting hit by the ball. He did get hit in the pad, so I'm not as. I mean, but getting hit probably didn't feel that great up there in the box. But I'd love to know it. I mean, the John Jay deal is insane to me. It's crazy. I mean, obviously something happened behind the scenes because not only did that happen, right? I know the real John Jay, but then after that, you got Yonder Alonso tweeting just this. That's all he did. He sent out one tweet, and this is the guy works for MLB Network. He tweets out the rat emoji, and that's it. He just tweets out the rat emoji. That's crazy. It's some serious drama. I was on the edge of my seat on Saturday post game. I'm like, this is getting good. And then you saw a retweet of the article from 2015. I think it was like 2015 or 2016 in the Players Tribune about Manny and John Jay and Yonder Alonso all working out together. I mean, crazy. Just crazy. I want to know. I think it's interesting to see. I'm sure neither of them will say anything about it, but they come here next week or this week at the end of the week. The Cardinals are here. I'd be curious if anybody asked John Jay about it. Like, what's the deal? The article was written on February 23rd, 2017. Manny Machado, John Jay, and Yonder Alonso. They call it the Miami Baseball Brotherhood. It's in the Players Tribune. You can go look at the article. It's up there. There's just something special about Miami. It's where we all grew up, but it's so much more than that. This city is in our hearts. It's our one true love and the place we always come back to. For John Yonder and I, Miami means family, good friends, culture, and baseball. Each winter, we meet up in our hometown and we go to work. We laugh a lot, too, and have fun together. At the end of the day, we're there to put in work and get better at baseball. We do it ourselves, of course, and for the love of the game, but we also do it for the city we call home, the place we each love. We want to be the best. We want to make Miami proud. That's from Manny Machado. There's other quotes in there from Manny talking about working out with John Jay and Yonder Alonso, from John Jay working out with Manny and Yonder. It's just interesting that, like, it got to that point. I mean, for most people, this weekend was kind of an eye-opener on the whole Yonder Alonso, Manny Machado, John Jay situation. It's crazy. Manny Machado, as a kid coming up, I'd see John and Yonder out there making their mark, and it gave me something to shoot for. They set the example. I looked up to those guys. I mean, this 2017. It's crazy. It's amazing to me. Obviously this happens. I mean, it happens in everybody's walk of life, right? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people driving around that had really good friends at a time, and then something went wrong, and then you no longer talk to these people anymore. It's part of life. But like, you read the story, and you look at the pictures of these guys playing basketball and hitting in the cage and working out and everything like that. I guess it was a decent amount of time now. And then the comments made on Saturday. And I'm not saying who's right and who's wrong. It's just an interesting story to me. Some added drama that I was not expecting in the Padres Cardinals saga. I thought Wilson Contreras, he kind of acted a little bit crazy, a little at times with the getting hit deal. I mean, the whining from Wilson Contreras over the weekend was ridiculous. It's just like every time you got hit in the pad, and then the last one you leaned into it, nothing intentional. It was like some fake. There's a lot of fake posturing going on with the Cardinals and the Padres over the weekend on some of this. But to me, the John Jay story was fascinating. We had to talk about that today. the post-game comments. He said he'd work it out between them. I'm curious what they did the next day. I'd love to hear what John Jay had to say. But it's crazy. So that it seems like it's the John Jay versus Manny and Yonder thing right now. Called him a rat. I don't know what he ratted anybody out on, but it's some juicy drama. What'd you get out of that, Frank?
Sorry, I was looking. No, it is certainly funny to see when a guy tries to come in. I don't know what he said. It didn't look like he was saying anything to be a peacemaker. It was kind of like a drive-by. Whatever he said, he just kind of walked past and never broke stride when he said it. So it probably wasn't all that great what he said. But it's one of those things like, bro, you're a coach. You're a base coach now. After being an average role player in the league. Really? You're going to say something to a superstar who just got hit for the second time in a game? Come on. Really? Just keep your mouth shut, please.
That could have all been avoided by just not saying anything. Just let Manny walk down there. I mean, obviously, the long debate, they ended up taking the pitcher out anyway. He wasn't ejected, but their manager was like, you know what? We're just going to get this guy out of the game. Move on to the next deal. Getting some flack for that jersey, dude. That's hilarious to me. People are like really incensed by it.
You know what? It's fine. Like I said, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm going to be truthful. Period. That's it.
Well,
I love you guys. And thank you very much for listening. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I appreciate you guys, whether you listen because you love me or listen because you hate me.
I don't
Thank
think anybody hates you. The people are freaking out over the Mets jersey. It's ridiculous.
But it's fine.
It's funny though. Come on,
exactly.
We need better comments like like Prolific. He doesn't like the Mets, but he loves Frank.
There you go.
All right. We got a little bit of time here before we talk into some rumors, and some news broke right before our show. It actually broke on Bennett Woods about a potential trade deadline closer probably not going to be available at the trade deadline anymore. How does that affect the market? Also, another big deal in Cleveland with sports betting. I mean, Emmanuel Clase was going to get traded before this news. We'll talk about that with all the other trade rumors coming up to start the 11 o'clock hour. I do want to get to some of your phone calls, and we're going to talk about the Crucial 42. We found the last game that we wanted to put in there. The Crucial 42, just to explain it one more time. You're going to win 60 games, you're going to lose 60 games. This is what you do in the other 42 that matter. As of right now, the Padres are in a crucial state where these kind of next 42 games are really the Crucial 42. Now, some of them have been factored out, but we'll talk about these Crucial 42 games. They started it with the 4-game series in St. Louis, and they went 2-2. You are looking to try to have a winning record here, but more so probably getting closer to 30 wins than anything else. That's where I think the target line is in order to, make the postseason. The Bryce Harper news from Jeff Passan today was also crazy. I mean, Bryce Harper, according to Jeff Passan, got into Rob Manfred's face when he showed up to Philly or showed up in their clubhouse, and it's all stemming back to a potential salary cap again. And as I've said before, and I will continue to say, when it comes to baseball's labor negotiations, again, I'm in the middle and want to see a competitive product. These two entities are going to arrogantly be stubborn, and then no one's going to make money because they're just going to lose generations worth of fans when they walk away and go like, this isn't worth my time. We'll talk more about that later on in the show as well. We do want to get your phone calls today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We do have time for one right now. Juan in Oceanside, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Juan?
Hey, what's up, Braden? I'm just calling because, well, one, I wanted to say I can't wait to pound the Mets this week. They're a bum organization, and Mr. Met is a trash mascot in comparison to the Philly Fanatic, you know. But
See,
that's
this is
for,
why I wore the jersey. Thank you. Thank you for getting it.
You know what? I've never seen the Philly Fanatic trip on stage at a Lumineers concert. Tell you that.
Yeah, he doesn't need a wife to stay relevant either. So
Hey, that's
you
true. Mrs. Met probably the more relevant mascot over there. Anyway, what else you got, Juan?
I just wanted to know what you thought about the TBD for this week in terms of the pitching schedule. If you think that might be like a potential trade situation, or if they're just trying to give you Darvish some time off just so he can stay healthy.
I don't think it's a trade deadline situation. I think it's more of a situation of Yu Darvish. I mean, Yu has not. He didn't look very good Thursday. Was that Thursday? Yeah, he didn't look good Thursday against the Cardinals. We talked about that. I don't know if he needs more rest to try to get back up. Maybe it was too much. But it's going to be very interesting to see what the Padres decide to do with those two spots. I would not be surprised if Pivetta still pitches Wednesday, but they might have to. Tuesday might be a last-minute decision with either Yu Darvish or maybe somewhere else. I mean, a lot of the guys that have fill in could be getting traded too. We'll talk about the trade rumors and get to your phone calls. Ryan and Bonzo, stay there. We'll get to you when we come back. 11 o'clock hour, Braden Surprenant Show. 11 o'clock on the Braden Surprenant Show. Happy Monday morning to everybody out there. As we get to our MLB trade deadline coverage, 97 through the fans coverage of the MLB trade deadline is brought to you by Palomar Health, champions of healthcare, champions for you. And we got a lot to break down in the trade deadline world, even though the Padres haven't made a move yet. We're going to keep you updated when things happen. So for the next 4 days, right, Frank? If we can do math correctly, 4 days.
Yeah,
Today,
more or less.
tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, up until 3 o'clock, there is no other place in town that's going to tell you what's going on with Major League Baseball and the trade deadline like 97 through the fan. We got the insight. We got the inside scoop. We're going to tell you what's going on with the Padres. We're going to tell you what's going on in Major League Baseball. This is a very important time for the Padres. They had a good weekend, decent weekend. Ended up splitting with the St. Louis Cardinals. And like I said before, to start the show, the Padres are in a really good spot. Despite all the problems they might be having, despite all the problems they've had this year, they're in a wild card spot. They get a game lead on Cincinnati. Cincinnati has LA this week, so they got to deal with the Dodgers for 3 days. That could be beneficial to the Padres. And like I said earlier today, I think the ideal situation for San Diego this week is copy what the Dodgers do. So if the Dodgers take 2 out of 3 from Cincinnati, Padres take 2 out of 3 from the New York Mets, they don't lose any ground on the Dodgers, and they pick up at least a game on the Reds, if not 2. I think it's 2 games. And so now you have a 3-game lead on Cincinnati. To me, that's where you need to kind of fight with. Stay pace with the Dodgers, but at the same time, let the Dodgers beat up on the rest of your competition. Now, for the Padres, their only real competition right now is Cincinnati and maybe San Francisco. San Francisco's still kind of hanging around. They've lost 3 straight. They got their ass kicked by the New York Mets all weekend, and they're 2-8 in their last 10. They're 3 games behind San Diego for the final wild card spot. That's kind of it. It's the Padres, it's the Reds, it's the Giants for the final spot in the wild card. Now, if the Padres can track down Philadelphia, that would be even better, as Philadelphia's got a 3.5-game lead on San Diego. The Padres being 4 games back of LA is obtainable. On top of that, they're only 5.5 games back from the best teams in the National League, which right now are the Chicago Cubs and Milwaukee Brewers. Padres split with the Cubs this year. Padres took 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee. They're in a good spot. I don't think you could tell me that they're not in a good spot in terms of the standings before you get to the trade deadline on Thursday. And we're going to keep you updated with that. But before we get to that information, we got a lot to get to, especially with some news that broke right before our show started that impacts the trade market and does impact the Padres, I think. Let's get to Ryan and Bonzel. Ryan, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man? Ryan, are you there? No, he is not. All right. Before we dive into the latest trade deadline deals and rumors, we had a couple of things happen over the weekend, and there's some interesting nuggets in terms of how the market is shaping. But the interesting thing, and it happened today before we jumped on air, it was a Passenbaum. Jeff Passenbaum, but had nothing to do with an actual trade. It had something to do with somebody that most likely was getting traded, now potentially having some serious problems with Major League Baseball. Jeff Passan, about an hour ago, tweeted out, Cleveland Guardians closer, former Padre, farmhand, Emmanuel Clase has been placed on non-disciplinary paid leave as part of MLB's sports betting investigation, sources tell ESPN. Clase is the second Guardians pitcher on leave tied to the investigation, joining right-hander Luis Ortiz. Cleveland Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase's non-disciplinary paid leave is through August 31st, MLB said in a statement. This was potentially one of the biggest bullpen arms you could pick up at the trade deadline. This could be one of the biggest pickups at the trade deadline. Now he's out to at least August 31st, unless he gets his name cleared. And who knows? If he doesn't get his name cleared, what a waste of a move. Nobody trading for Emmanuel Clase now. with the Cleveland Guardians. So now you look at another situation, potentially that affects the Padres. But for more on this was Jim Bowden on Fair Territory talking about just how close Emmanuel Clase was to getting traded before this news.
Oh, he was going to get traded. There's no doubt. And Chris Anthony, the president, Mike Chernoff, the GM, have been working 6 weeks at moving Emmanuel Clase, and they were in a really strong position as sellers. And they decided to sell, and that's the direction they were going. And Clase was going to be the headliner at this trade deadline for them. And they were in a great position because we have so many of the contending teams and division leading teams that were focusing on high leverage back end relievers. The Phillies, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Seattle Mariners, the Detroit Tigers. It's just overwhelming the market. And they had one of the top 2 guys, and they had been working very diligently to get it. So this is franchise changing. This is a huge blow for them because this was going to be an opportunity to really reset this organization by using him as trade bait here. And so it is just a huge setback.
Huge setback for Cleveland, not a huge setback for the Padres, who have in their possession a closer that they've talked about potentially trading at the deadline. I think this drives the price up a little bit. You got to be thinking from his perspective. And this is why, again, everybody wants a trade to happen like yesterday. It's going to take all the way up to 3 o'clock on Thursday for a lot of these deals to go through. And it's going to start building faster as we approach the deadline. They're going to make moves. There's no superstar available at this year's deadline. So a lot of the moves are going to be fringe moves, but there's going to be a lot of moving parts at this year's deadline because there's a lot of teams that are competitive that are trying to make a splash before they get to the second half. So, the closing situation. There's going to be probably a lot more interest in Robert Suarez. The Padres might be able to get a decent amount back for Robert Suarez that they can then flip for maybe another bat, maybe another arm somewhere else. I mean, they can use this. This is good news for the Padres if they're trying to get more for a guy like Robert Suarez if they decide to do that. And we've seen the reports that they might be able to do that, or they might be interested in doing that. Now, the other bit of news that happened, which I think impacts the Dylan Cease portion of this deal, would be what happened in Kansas City over the weekend. And what happened in Kansas City over the weekend was Seth Lugo, who was listed as a top 10 potential trade piece at the deadline because he was a rental. His contract was up. He signed a contract extension with Kansas City for 2 years, $46 million. So Seth Lugo's off the market now. All of a sudden, Dylan Cease might be a little bit more valuable for other teams and organizations in Major League Baseball to potentially acquire at the trade deadline. You might be able to get more now for Dylan Cease. Again, this is all part of like the reports that we've been getting from the Padres, from their beat writers about some things that they're working on, maybe a little buy and sell. If you're going to sell Dylan Cease or Robert Suarez and or both, they got to be high value back in order for them to make the deal happen. This is good news for people that want to see those guys potentially traded for prospects back that they could flip into other parts to fill out the roster, because now not only is Seth Lugo no longer in the market, that enhances Dylan Cease's market, but it also, with Emmanuel Clase getting put on paid leave for gambling, sports betting investigation, not being available to at least August 31st, all of a sudden the closer market is open too. And there's a lot of teams that are battling for playoff spots. It's very interesting to see. This is all the stuff that's continuing to go around before the trade deadline. Again, you want everything now. I understand that, but that's not the case in terms of the art of the deal. You got to let AJ Preller cook a little bit. So until then, we're going to keep you updated on other trade deadline moves and potential rumors that are out there. A couple of things that have happened. Atlanta, and it's not really big moves. I mean, Atlanta's trying to fill out their roster right now. Atlanta's out of the playoff contention. I mean, there's no way that they are able to climb out of the hole that they're in at 44-60. They've lost 5 straight games. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They're 12 games out of a wild card spot behind the Padres, who own the season series over Atlanta anyway. But they just don't have enough pitching just to make it through the year. Their starting rotation, there are 5 guys in their starting rotation on opening day that they set for opening day when they're here in San Diego. All 5 are on the injured list. So 2 of the moves that happened over the weekend, Eric Fetty, who was DFA'd by St. Louis, the Braves had to trade for him in order to get him back. The Braves were able to get Eric Fetty for a player to be named later and or cash. And the Braves were also able to get Carlos Carrasco from the New York Yankees. They're just trying to fill out the rotation. Some of these moves has to go through this first. Some of the moves at the deadline, you have to go through this first. So Seth Lugo signs a contract extension. Eric Fetty gets picked up by the Atlanta Braves, and Carlos Carrasco gets picked up by the Atlanta Braves. I thought there was going to be a little bit more movement over the weekend, but I think it's going to start pushing back closer to the deadline. Obviously, this Emmanuel Class A news is very big. We're going to get more rumors out there. Those are officially done deals. Frank's going to join us to get the rumors in when we come back as we continue our trade deadline coverage in the 11 o'clock hour on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Got so many hours now on the Braden Surprenant show. We have the trade deadline hour, the 11 o'clock hour, then we got the noon lunchtime hour, and the 12 o'clock hour. Rod's hangry. He says, "What's for lunch today?" What do you got, Frank? What are we thinking for lunch?
I have no idea what we're doing for lunch. So I'm going right down to the ballpark right after this. So I don't think I'm going to have time to eat. Gotta get the wardrobe change in.
That's right. I don't have jerseys, Captain. I don't wear jerseys after a certain age. My deal. Anyway, no, I don't have any Padres stuff today. I'll put some stuff on tomorrow. Maybe I have to put some dueling stuff on tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go.
To combat Frank.
See?
On his Mets jersey. Some people are just borderline crazy on the Mets thing. It's hilarious.
It's called a bit.
I know,
guys.
but they're taking it too
Relax.
personally. They're taking it too personally. I'd love to see you in a Cardinals jersey on Thursday. Be the anti guy.
Break out a John Jay jersey.
Oh my God. That would be rough. That's pretty funny though, but that would be rough. They wouldn't let you in the clubhouse into that. Hilarious. All right. Latest trade rumors. Before we get to that, we are basically out of t-shirts. You guys took those up fast. We're going to work on, how to get more Braden Surprenant Show shirts. If you have signed up, I have emailed you. I emailed everybody last night. If you didn't get an email, check your spam folder. But if that's the case, that means we ran out of shirts in your size, or you wanted it shipped to you, which means I'm taking care of the shipment stuff. So I will ship it to you, and we can work out the deal for the shipping fee. But if you got an email last night, that means they're available to pick up. Check your email if you're willing to pick up the shirt. I've already had 3 guys come and pick up the shirts today. Got to meet them. It's great. And again, if you didn't get one of the shirts or you missed out, we're going to try to find another way for you guys to potentially buy shirts. And I'll figure out how to get that set up. Thanks to everybody for subscribing to our YouTube page. If you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to our YouTube page at @B_SURP, youtube.com/@B_SURP. Hit subscribe, helps us out. If you haven't done so already, like this video below on YouTube. We appreciate that. You can follow us on social media at @B_SURP, @BSURP. And you can follow Frank Marchese and ask him about or tease him about the Mets if you would like. F Marks with the Z 324. That's his social media handle. So that's how you can find us on social media. Again, we put out different content on our own YouTube platform. We'll be doing that today. I got some videos that need to get posted today. But again, if you haven't done so already, give us a like on the YouTube. We really appreciate it. It helps us out. Thanks again. All right. Latest rumors. For latest rumors, we're going to go to Frank to get us through some of these latest rumors at the MLB trade deadline. What do we got today, Frank?
Rumors.
Thank you.
So we'll start off in New York, as a matter of fact.
Boo,
Not
boo.
We're the bad side of New York, not the good side of New York. After making trades for Ryan McMahon and Ahmed Rosario, speaking of getting some key names in the trade deadline, the Yankees are now prioritizing pitching. According to ESPN, the Yankees are showing interest in Pirates' available arms, such as Mitch Keller and Andrew Haney, relievers David Bednar as well, who is controllable through 26, Caleb Ferguson, and Dennis Santana. But even with the additions of Ryan McMahon and Ahmed Rosario, the Yankees would still be looking at more bats.
The Yankees are an interesting case study because they're another team that spends a lot of money, but they have all these old players. I'm curious to see what goes on with the Aaron Judge situation because he got dinged. I guess his X-rays are negative.
Yes.
So we'll see what the latest status is on Aaron Judge. But yes, they do need some bats. They got a lot of aging veterans on that roster, or guys like Anthony Volpe who are just not as good as anticipated in a Yankees uniform. So they've already got to the $292 million mark they're probably going to have to add more payroll, and we'll see. They still can't play defense, though, Frank, so I don't know if it really matters at the end of the day.
Again, noted poverty franchise, the New York Yankees.
Yes, of course. All right, so they're looking at another bat and potentially some bullpen help, maybe some starting pitching help. Who doesn't need that at the trade deadline?
That's exactly right.
Let's move on to the other part of New York, Frank.
The New York Metropolitans are looking into trading Mark Vientos. Let's see. The Mets have been discussing corner infielder Mark Vientos in recent trade talks, and rival executives believe the team is open to moving him now. According to SNY's Andy Martino, who notes the Mets are looking for relievers, a center fielder, and possibly a starting pitcher, also says that the Mets are willing to move Brett Beatty, but would rather move Vientos if they have to.
Mark Vientos, a negative WAR, 226 batting average this year, 22 runs scored, almost 300 at bats. He's got 6 home runs. Has he missed a significant amount of time this year?
He has had some injuries, but also the kids that have come up have played a lot better. Brett Beatty's finally starting to become what we expected him to be. Ronnie Mauricio, who will most likely see tonight, has been starting at third base for the most part. He has really showed up after missing all of last year with an ACL injury. Ronald Acuna's younger brother, Luis Angel Acuna, has really made it hard for them to keep sending him down. So a lot of where Vientos would play kind of been taken over now.
And obviously not necessarily a fit for the Padres unless it's like a bench piece or move somewhere else. Third base is pretty much occupied. But Mark Vientos might be available for the New York. They're willing to dangle Mark Vientos. Third baseman, designated hitter, first baseman for the New York Mets. All right. Moving on. Other latest rumors that we might get to. A Duran is available, but not the Duran you're thinking of.
No, it is not. Should the Twins decide to sell, they have a number of coveted trade chips, especially in the bullpen. Johan Duran, Griffin Jax, and Brock Stewart are among Minnesota's high-end bullpen arms that are under contract through 2027. And according to Aaron Gleeman of The Athletic, there is a growing sense that one or more of that trio could be gettable if the right offer comes along.
I could see the Padres getting Griffin Jax. I can really see the Padres getting Griffin Jax. I don't know if you want to trade for multiple bullpen arms. Did they say what they were looking for? Just anything that can help them?
Yeah, they're showing like Duran would be available for the Phillies, Cubs, Tigers, Mariners, and Blue Jays among reported teams interested.
I think it'd be interesting to see Griffin Jax in a Padres uniform if you decide to trade Robert Suarez. Jax has multiple years of control and one of those candidates that you potentially stretch out to be a starter in the future. So interesting name there, I think, to pay attention to if the Padres decide to trade Robert Suarez. Seattle Mariners, probably the last one we have time for, but sounds like they're staying aggressive, Frank.
Yes, the Seattle Mariners swung a significant trade on Thursday when they acquired Josh Naylor from Arizona, but it appears they are far from done. MLB.com's Daniel Kramer reported that the Naylor trade that the D-backs reported after the Naylor trade that D-backs third baseman Eugenio Suarez is still a top target for Seattle. Suarez, who turned 34 last week, is having a monster year at the plate, leading Major League Baseball with 87 RBIs to go along with 36 home runs and a 904 OPS. Is that good? I've heard that's good.
It's not bad. I didn't know they went that high as a Padres fan this year. Thought it was capped at a certain spot. I could see the Suarez reunion in Seattle would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Get him out of the division. Get him out of the National League.
It's interesting, though, if you're going to make a trade, unless you're trying to butter Arizona up, why wouldn't you try to trade both of them at the same time if they're both targets?
Seen that with Seattle before. Padres had multiple deals with Seattle in the 2020 season. Sometimes it doesn't align all the time. But that one's very interesting. So is the Cardinals potentially trading Nolan Arenado again. They're trying it again, potentially, Frank?
Yes, MLB.com's Mark Feinsand reports that Nolan Arenado, who was at the center of multiple trade talks during the offseason, could be moved by Thursday's 6 p.m. Eastern Time deadline. The Cardinals have to get approval from Arenado, who possesses a full no-trade clause and can veto any trade, which he did in December after the Cardinals and Astros had agreed to a trade to send the 8-time All-Star to Houston.
Didn't he say he'd be willing to play first base for the Padres?
I don't know.
I wouldn't want to trade for him for his contract. They'd have to eat most of that contract. They'd have to do what the Rockies did to get rid of him the first time and pay for a large sum of money to get rid of Arenado for me to be interested. I'm curious because obviously no one wants to play in a certain spot. Sounds like he's been rejuvenated. Like we had a report last week with the Cardinals. He doesn't necessarily want to leave St. Louis, but it's interesting to me that a guy like him that's trying to chase down a World Series, not being able to be willing to go somewhere where he can win a World Series.
He's played in Colorado for the start of his career and then has now wasted away in St. Louis as after everything that's happened as far as guys retiring,
Correct.
Management changes, it's all going downhill in St. Louis now.
There's one more report I want to get to when we come back. Involves a former Padre that is getting interest from a lot of different teams. Who knows if this team potentially trades him? Who are we talking about? We'll tell you next when we could continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, Sandless #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan.
Hey, Chris Ello from Gwynn and Chris. The Padres have begun their march to a world title, and we'll be with you every step of the way. Padres news all year long on your #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Do you want to go out for a great meal that doesn't cost a fortune? Hey, Chris Ello here. Try Spiro's Mediterranean cuisine. Spiro's menu filled with fresh and healthy options, and they're all reasonably priced. Quality bites, family friendly, and the taste of Mediterranean awesomeness. Bring your appetite to Spiro's and leave with money in your pocket. Spiro's in Coronado at the ferry landing, downtown La Jolla. For dining, takeout, and catering options, make sure you visit spiroscuisine.com.
Bored of bland seltzers? Try the coolest drink ever. Smile Spirits. Real vodka cocktails with bold flavor. No sugary aftertaste, just pure refreshment. Crisp, smooth, and ready to enjoy. Whether you're at the beach, a backyard party.
$11:35 on the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting us over on Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. We appreciate all of you guys making our day a part of yours. Thanks again for tuning into the show. A lot of trade deadline news out there that we're getting to. A lot of rumors out there. And again, we're still in the kind of wee hours of the morning of this potential trade deadline coming up on Thursday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. We'll have loads of coverage on the actual day, which is Thursday. It's a very big day. The roundtable for the 10 o'clock hour. We'll have our show from 11 to 2 o'clock. Gwen and Chris will have the first hour, or their first hour will be the final hour of the trade deadline, where a lot of moves are going to be broken down, and we're going to be your one-stop shop for everything Major League Baseball, everything trade deadline. This Padres team needs to make some improvements here coming up at the deadline. We're going to have you fully covered. We're going to be out there at the Padre game on Wednesday. We will be out there live from the loft to do our show before the Padres hopefully get ready to sweep the New York Mets, as a lot of you people in the chat are ready to do. I mean, if Padres go out there and win tonight, I expect all of you to raise hell on Frank.
I'm expecting them to win tonight.
I know. Well, God forbid they win 8 straight games, I guess. Mets fans always depressed all the time. What weird thing is Mr. Met going to do to tank the season?
Oh, I have no idea. Him falling off the stage clearly wasn't enough.
Trying to catch the tambourine, slipping, not being able to catch it, and then falling off stage. He popped up great. Mr. Met looks like a tough guy.
Things happen, man. Things happen.
Mr. Met is the epitome of the New York Mets. We'll see how they do. We'll see if they act like Mr. Met or Mrs. Met tonight against the San Diego Padres. There is one other trade rumor that I thought was interesting because it always goes back to the same trade here in San Diego. Who won the Juan Soto trade? You'll never know about until all those players are done playing. But there is a team very interested in a certain ex-Padre that is a current Washington National, Frank.
Yes, it would appear so. The Chicago Cubbies are looking into and are very interested, quote, very interested in Mackenzie Gore.
That's very interesting to me.
Yes, it is.
Starting pitching is one of the Cubs' biggest needs at the deadline. Actually, pitching in general. We saw the Cubs super early in the season. Already got the 6 games out of the way. Those were battles. I thought the Cubs were a really good baseball team after watching them play. And so you split with Chicago. You went 1-2 there, took 2 out of 3 here. And the biggest thing about the Cubs is like their bullpen was awful. And their starting pitching was okay. They looked pretty good against the Padres early in the season, but they've been okay. And according to Patrick Mooney of The Athletic, the Cubs are very interested in Mac G at top of the rotation, arm under control through 2027. The Nationals left-hander was the first-time All-Star this season and has a 3.52 ERA with 144 strikeouts and 117 2/3 innings. I think it'd be very interesting to see if the Nationals decide to part ways with Mackenzie Gore. He's got as much control as Juan Soto did when the Nationals traded him or traded Juan Soto. Do I see the Padres potentially looking at that? Probably not. Be interesting to see them trade for Mackenzie Gore back, but I doubt that would be the case. I'd be very interested to see if the Nationals actually decide to trade Mackenzie Gore at the deadline. They got a little bit more control out of C.J. Abrams and a little bit more control out of James Wood than they do with Mackenzie Gore. But, I mean, them potentially flipping Mackenzie Gore for more prospects, is that a win for the Nationals? I don't know if that's necessarily a win for the Nationals or not. Mackenzie Gore get traded, be on 3 teams in about a 3-year span. That'd be wild to see for a first-round draft pick, top 5 draft pick of the Padres from a couple of years ago. So, all of that very interesting in terms of the latest news. The Astros have checked in on Eugenio Suarez. Sandy Alcantara chances of being traded are starting to increase. Dodgers are interested in Minnesota Twins, Harrison Bader, as well as St. Louis Cardinals, Brendan Donovan. And the Cardinals are listening on multiple veterans. You've been caught up on everything that's happening in Major League Baseball in terms of the latest free agent and trade rumors. Obviously, trades are a little bit more on there. Detroit Tigers are interested in Eugenio Suarez. That came down a little bit ago as well. So that's the latest that you're going to get. We'll keep you updated throughout the afternoon. If anything pops up on our feed, you will be the first to hear it here on the Braden Surprenant Show. Here's an interesting thing. Dennis Lin was on with the morning show. Dennis Lin had a couple of good pieces said on the morning show when they were asked, and they have them on every single Monday, when it comes to the MLB trade deadline. So one of them, now there's a couple of things on there, and one of them had to do a bit with Dylan Cease and whether or not Dylan Cease was worth being traded at the deadline.
Could go either way. I think there are a lot of people around the game, including people probably inside the organization, telling AJ, hey, you have to trade him. This is sort of like a mini version of the Juan Soto situation from a couple winters ago. You know you're not going to re-sign him. He's a guy who's kind of in demand right now. There's not that many guys like him on the market. Seth Lugo just signed an extension. Doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. So as far as rentals go, Dylan has a lot of interest from a lot of teams right now. So I think if AJ can maybe trade him and fill like multiple needs and get some controllable guys in, that's something he would definitely do. If not, if he doesn't see anything compelling enough out there, I think, he's perfectly fine keeping him. But I think tonight's start's going to have a lot of scouts at it and a lot of interest from just around baseball.
Very interesting, especially with the Dylan Cease thing. Obviously, I think with the latest news about Seth Lugo signing a contract extension, it gives the Padres probably a little more value in a potential Dylan Cease trade. A little bit more value. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this trade deadline works about. Now, for everybody, again, that's like going, why isn't AJ Preller making any moves? If they're contemplating selling and acquiring guys, you got to make sure everything's lined up before you pull the trigger on anything. Because the last thing you want to do is trade away Suarez or Dylan Cease, get prospects back, and then be like, okay, and then not get back what you needed to get back at the trade deadline with lining up other potential trades. It's a lot of moving parts. This is going to be the closest thing you would see to like that scene from Moneyball where he's got all these general managers on hold. It should be very interesting to see. I'm locked in on this trade deadline. So that was one of the things that Dennis Lin said that I thought were interesting. The other one about the Padres And it goes back to the rotation, and it goes back to Dylan Cease. Now, they have other assets that the Padres could potentially trade away. And a lot of other teams are interested in guys like Randy Vasquez, Stephen Collett, Ryan Bergert. But at the same time, if they trade away Dylan Cease, maybe you have to rely on some of those pieces. We did get an update on Michael King. Yu Darvish obviously has looked a little shaky. Can the Padres physically trade away something from their starting rotation and rely on some of these back-end pieces to navigate the rest of the season? Here's what Dennis Lind had to say about the sim game that Michael King threw and what the back of the rotation would look like.
King, is still scheduled for that sim game today. And, if that goes well, I expect maybe another of those. We'll see. I don't know the exact schedule for him, but maybe another of those if that goes well today, and then rehab starter 2, and then maybe you could be looking at a mid-August return, or maybe slightly after that, which would be huge either way. So they're very hopeful about what he could bring, maybe a la Darvish in 2024, late summer. But still, Michael hasn't pitched since May, so it'll be interesting to see how he responds after all this time off and just the adrenaline of pitching real games. And then, obviously Darvish, there's still a lot of concern about, what does he have left in that elbow of his? He's going to be 39 soon. That's a major question kind of hanging over the team. But the backing guys that you mentioned, Kolek, Vasquez, Ryan Berger could be coming back up to make a start, as soon as tomorrow. I think those guys have handled themselves really well. It's credit to Ruben Niebla and Ben Fritz and the pitching coach staff that they've been able to get so much out of these back end guys. But I think ideally, you'd like to have Michael King back going really strong, and guys you can really trust in the playoffs. And those back end guys you just can't really trust quite yet in October. So I think this Michael King simulated game is as big as any sim game in Padres history.
A lot of interesting things said by Dennis Lind there. And we'll talk more about that later on in the show. But we do got to get to today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what do we got today that's non-Padres related in the sports thread?
What do we got today? We got another example as to why I was able to pass high school on doing my work 5 minutes before it was due. Here we go.
Number 1.
Guy was getting his homework assignment done at the break.
Exactly. University of Colorado football coach Deion Sanders announced earlier today, that he had undergone surgery to remove his bladder after doctors discovered a tumor there. Sanders says since the surgery, there are no traces of cancer and will continue to coach this season. In a packed touchdown club at the Del Ward Athletic Center, Sanders appeared with Dr. Jeanette, I'm not hurting myself saying that, director of urological oncology at the University of Colorado Cancer Center, and answered some of the questions that have swirled around him throughout the offseason. Braden, much like you, I thought this was him announcing that he was done in Colorado. Sure, it's great news for Deion Sanders. What are you expecting out of Colorado this season now that he is there, that he is 100% healthy and has nothing to worry about?
Well, I'm glad he's healthy and safe and everything ran
100%.
smoothly. That's obviously the best. I don't know what to expect with Colorado. I still think, like, first sign that Deion can get out of there, I think he's going to get out of there, especially with his kids now in the National Football League. It's tough to be a head coach and at a college level and be able to go watch your sons play at a high level too. And I feel like he probably wants to do that. So I don't know how many more years he's going to be at Colorado, but they get good talent. They got high level talent coming in. I just don't know if they got the high level linemen that they usually need, but we'll talk more college football as we get closer to it in the month of August. Got a lot of nice little previews ready for you on the Braden Surprenant show, but the Big 12's wide open. I mean, Everybody in the Big 12 is highly competitive. It comes in as the third-ranked conference in all of college football, as the Big 10 and the SEC are tied at the top at number 1, according to Phil Steele's ranking system. I think it's going to be a wild race. It's going to be a fun race in the Big 12, and Colorado's going to be right in the thick of that thing.
We're less than a month away from week 0. We're about a month away exactly from week 1 kicking off. It's going to be a great season.
Number 2.
Speaking of Colorado, we're going to stay there as the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to play Travis Hunter on offense and defense on Friday night scrimmage at Everbank Stadium. Is the first time he will do that this training camp. Head coach Liam Cohn said that there will be words
are hard.
Said that will give them an opportunity to see if they need to alter Hunter's detailed practice and meeting schedule for the following week and beyond. Cohen said he will go back to defense before our mock game scrimmage and will be kind of used to that mock as an evaluation to see, all right, what do we need to do now? What did it look like in the scrimmage? Do we need to maybe get him more on defense? Do you really see Travis Hunter playing both offense and defense this season in the regular season?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be a very difficult task. I think it's way harder to do in the National Football League than to be able to do it in college. But if you're the Jags, you might as well try it early on in the season and see if you can do it. The cardio levels are crazy. I mean, being able to be elite at both sides of the ball is going to be very difficult. You know, I watched the highlights of him as a receiver and as a corner. I think he is more of a cornerback in the National Football League than a receiver. I watched, when watching his tape, and this is where I disagree with Eddie Brown, and we got to start getting on again as college football gets ready to go, but also more importantly, fantasy football. As he's our fantasy football expert. He does his draft breakdowns. When I watched the tape, and I watched the tape of a lot of different guys getting prepared for that draft show, when I watched him at receiver, he just looked like any other receiver. There was nothing that wowed me like this. I got to draft this guy high if he was just a receiver. But then I looked at what he was able to do as a defensive back and the cuts he was able to make and some of the reroutes he was able to do, his recovery time. And I was like, this guy's an elite level DB. This is stuff that is very hard to teach. This is stuff that's very difficult to do. Somebody that coaches corners, it's tough. It's tough to do a lot of the things that he's able to do. So to me, when the Jags said they were going to have him focus on offense, I was like, that's going to be a mistake. I think he needs to be a defensive player. I think you let him do both early and then see if his cardio can hold up. It's going to be very difficult. But I'd rather see him at corner. I think he's an elite corner.
Yeah, I agree. And it also makes sense for him to be as good as he is as a cornerback because being a receiver, being in those receiver room meetings, you kind of learn that side of it also. So you're able to jump certain routes. You're able to see what moves people are going to make in order to be able to get the upper hand as a defensive back. So, yeah, it makes total sense that he would be better as a defensive back covering what he's been learning how to try to run and get past them with.
Number 3.
Chicago Bulls coach Billy Donovan has signed a multi-year contract with the Bulls yesterday. My goodness. The team announced, the team announced spring training for everybody. The team announced that an extension has been reached, but it did not reveal the length or the financials of the contract. The Bulls and Donovan started negotiating at the end of last season and continued conversations through this week amid offseason planning. A brief pursuit of Donovan by the New York Knickerbockers and the draft, free agency, and summer league, sources told ESPN. Good sign for the Chicago Bulls to lock their coach in long term.
I guess, but it sounds like they just fire all these guys after the first sign of distress.
Well, there you go.
I mean, what's the point of being a head coach in the NBA at this point? They get rid of you so fast nowadays.
Well,
I mean, I guess. Moving on.
The Bulls don't have that level of star, at least the last time I saw, that can get a guy fired, but you never know.
Number 4.
With more than 85,000 tickets sold, the MLB Speedway Classic between the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves at Bristol Motor Speedway will break Major League Baseball's single game attendance record was announced today. Saturday night's nationally televised game will be the first ever MLB game played in Tennessee. The current record for paid attendance at a Major League Baseball game was set on September 12th, 1954 for a doubleheader at Cleveland Stadium between Cleveland and the New York Yankees. Attendance was 84,587. Playing in these venues, this is a great sign that Major League Baseball is very popular, and with all the rumors about an expansion team possibly landing in Nashville, this could be a good way to test the waters.
I think so too. I mean, the South has one team. The South's got the Braves, and then the other part of the South roots for the Reds. That's basically it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of states in there that don't have a team, and Nashville would be a great place for a team for Major League Baseball. Obviously, a lot of fans. Now, being in between both of those two teams that are playing each other, the Reds and the Braves, probably makes it easier. And the other thing, too, with all those states, it's very easy to navigate, especially from Tennessee. Like, Nashville's 3 hours from a lot of places in the South region. So, I like this. I think it's cool. I like that they sold out or getting close to sell out. And Bristol, I'm surprised they don't do more events at Bristol Motor Speedway. Tennessee and Virginia Tech played there a handful of years ago. It seemed like a massive success for college football. I don't know why they haven't tried to do that again, but
there's a lot of buildings in that infield that need to be taken care of.
That's right. But it's I think it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna be tuned in over the weekend to see that.
Absolutely. Saturday night, Speedway Classic.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 to join the show as we begin our lunchtime hour. Setting us up on Sports Station 97 The Fan.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Time for the noon lunch hour on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This noon lunch hour is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Both flavors at 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Frank's got a lot of people triggered about the Mets jersey today, which I find to be funny. I'm enjoying this. This is great.
It was kind of the point.
I didn't realize so many people hated New York as much as they do. But you're not even allowed to be here anymore, so you should probably pack your bags and get out of here.
Okay, hold on. Let me
get your stuff. Get out of here. You're not. There he goes. He's leaving.
I thought the camera was going to follow me. It didn't. Would have made it better.
Why would it follow you? You're leaving. Rod says come back.
Yeah, it's on.
Frank is back.
I thought it was on the. Like I thought it was following me.
It didn't. Camera wants you gone too. Don't let the door hit you on the ass, Frank. Get out of here. Oh man, it's funny. It's you know what? We haven't used the phrase "put the fries in the bag" in a long time, but the people that are upset about Frank's jersey, just put the fries in the bag. It's not that big of a deal. It's not a rival. They're in town. It's a fun bit. And guess what? You guys would all be the same people that would be fired up if I was on a different show in a different market wearing a Padres jersey when the Padres came to town.
Exactly.
Be like, this guy's great. Love this guy.
And to see somebody, I saw somebody earlier in the chat ask, would somebody be wearing a Padre jersey in New York when the Padres came to town? Yes.
They do that all the time.
It has happened before.
It happens all the time.
Every single time. Morning show producer, Eddie Scazzeri, he wears a Miami Dolphins jersey there every single Sunday, including the 2 Sundays where they play the Jets.
Love it.
So, yes, it happens.
It's all for fun, man. Sports are supposed to be fun.
As I said, you have a unique opportunity here to build a relationship with this show and me in a way that no other show has on this station. Because every other show is all Padre fans. They all flipped their allegiances. Exactly. We get to have a unique banter on this show that you cannot get in any other show on this station, or I would say in the city. So let's enjoy that.
I'm never flipping my allegiances to my city ever, and Frank's not doing that either.
No.
You'd be applauding Frank if he did this in a different town, if he was repping Padre stuff. But hey, if the Padres win, Frank has to come in a Padres Soto jersey.
This is not a Juan Soto jersey, by the way. I don't know if you saw the name.
Jacob DeGrom. He's not on the team anymore.
I know
he's living in the past. Let Frank live in the past.
It is literally the most recent Met jersey I have is this Jacob DeGrom jersey. I can't go into Walmart and get a $50 Met jersey anymore.
Speaking of the Mets, where is our resident Mets fan? Why isn't he in the chat today? Where's New York Mike? Where is your sole alliance today?
I have no idea.
The only one defending you is not here today. He's gone in witness protection, apparently. Mets are in town. New York Mike's like, nope, don't want the flack this week.
I think he said he was coming to the game tomorrow. So
okay.
I might catch up with New York Mike tomorrow.
I love when New York Mike calls in and gets super fired up about you, Frank. That's right, Frankie. That's right. You tell him, Frankie. It's the best. It's the best.
I have an old '80s Houston Astros jersey with it's got the tricolor on the bottom, and should I wear that when Houston comes to town or when they play the Astros?
No.
It is a nice looking jersey, though. I will say it's a pull over too.
We got a lot of different college football things. Should rep them. I'm telling you right now, if TCU played San Diego State anything, I'd be repping all TCU stuff. That's not even a question.
Exactly.
That's not even a question.
And that's what I would expect. And honestly, I would think less of you if you did. If you didn't.
I'm not repping the Aztecs for that. They might be 0-7 all time against the Frogs in football, but you know what? Hey, who's counting?
By the way,
let's not get into the basketball record at all.
By the way, speaking of San Diego State,
is there
Sean Lewis is supposed to be having a press conference right now. However, on the Go Aztecs website and the link that they've posted and everything else surrounding this, nothing is up yet. So their noon press conference will not be starting.
What time's the noon press conference start? I'd love that joke. You know, when Andy Green was the manager, Mike Schultz on time for all of his press conferences. Mm-hmm. When Andy Green was the manager for the Padres, the going question every time was, what time does this 3:30 press conference start? Because it would never be 3:30. And it'd be a different reporter every time. It was a good bit. What time does this 3:30 press conference start? I'd be like, oh, well, and I'd look at my watch. It'd be like 4 o'clock. Not 3:30.
I know that feeling in New York as well. And also, by the way, for those of you in the chat, I was the one idiot at 3:45 Hudson jumping around like a moron at 1:30 in the morning watching Joe Musgrove complete his no-hitter in Texas. Thank you very much. I was also calling New York radio shows after being in New York for just a couple of months when the Padres signed Manny Machado. And all of the radio stations were saying, how could he not be a Yankee? That was me calling to defend the Padres and celebrating the Padres' success. So, well, there you go.
Jason thinks you haven't tried Kraft Taco yet, but
I have tried Kraft
He has tried Kraft Taco. I think we should come together, Jason, and sing Kumbaya eating Kraft Tacos. There's some good in Jason in there. You know what? He's blinded by his hatred for New York. Have you ever been to New York? New York's a great place. They have great food in New York.
They do not have a Kraft Taco in New York.
They don't. And I wouldn't eat anything that's in taco form in New York at all. But they got some good pizza. Got good Italian food. They got a lot of good food there. Great shows on Broadway. They got lousy sports teams, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay. Well, all right.
That's neither here nor there. And their mascots are kind of dorks. But you know what?
Can't even argue with those.
That's, it is what it is. I was going to ask a food question. I forgot that's what it was. I went and picked up food the other day.
Relish and stagnant card water. That's the only thing acceptable on a hot dog.
I went and picked up food the other day at this taco shop, Mexican food place. Mm-hmm. I like this place because it's down the street from Cathedral, and they're open late. And here's the thing with me, okay? So, and we're getting to Friday. So on Thursday, not only is it trade deadline day, but my life gets flipped upside down because I have high school football starting on Thursday, which takes up a lot of my time. It'll be a little bit less this year because I'm only coaching varsity. But Fridays are fun for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, we'll have the show. We'll talk high school football. We'll do the college football, NFL, everything like that. And my Fridays are very long. Jumped into early Saturday mornings. And then with the USD stuff, I mean, we're about to start the busiest time of Braden Surprenant's life per year is the month of August and the month of September. Got to work a lot of different gigs in town to survive in San Diego. It's so expensive. But on Friday nights, here's what I like to do after coaching high school football. After coaching high school football on a Friday night, now we do a lot of different team stuff. So they have a team meal before they're going to go to, it's a Catholic school, so they go to mass as a team after school, after mass, they go get food, they get fed, pregame pasta, and then they go back to the chapel and they do their walkthrough, and then they have all this stuff. It's a lot of stuff you got to get done. It's not like you just get that. Our kids particularly don't just get to go home and then come back for the game. They're there all day. And after the game, which usually, so 7 o'clock kick, usually ends around 9:30. If the game runs late, playing a passing attack team where the clock stops all the time, maybe ends around 10. We have a team dinner afterwards with our families, which is great. I love what we do with that. But here's what I want to do after every game on Friday night. I usually want a burrito, late night burrito. I think that's fair. I get a little appetizer with the post game meal. Sometimes it's stuff I like, sometimes it's not. I do hang out, we talk a little bit. But after a long day of coaching high school football, this is what I want to do. I want a burrito, I want a cocktail, and I want to watch the PPR. Is that too much to ask, Frank? I know you're doing stuff, but
no, not at all.
Pretty simple. Okay. So I want to do those three things. I think that's fair. So this place in Carmel Valley is great for a lot. It's a taco shop in terms of Mexican food. So not like sit-down Mexican food, but it's a taco shop. It's a bar that's open till midnight. And they have TVs and sports on, which means they could probably put the PPR on. So in one full swoop, I could get my burrito, which I have already approved. I can get a drink, which, by the way, they have my favorite bourbon there, which is even better. There's not a lot of places that have Colonel Taylor, but you know what? They got it here. Now, having a bourbon with a burrito seems like a foul, but you know what? After a long day of coaching, I'm going to inhale the burrito and then have my one cocktail, and I'm going to watch the PPR. This thing kind of does it all together. It's a good spot. So, El Pueblo over there in Carmel Valley, again, it gets the job done. I went there the other day, and like the thing, it's like the tip thing, right? Like how much should you tip on a to-go order? I had to work a reunion. I'm on the Don's alumni board, so I help out with their reunions. They had the 1985 40th reunion, which was actually my uncle's class, so I got to see my uncle and some of his friends there. It was cool. A lot of people commented on our event center that we have at Cathedral, which is super nice. Great for football games, by the way. And so I was at that. I only had to hang out for a little bit. And then I went to the place and I picked up the food. It is expensive. They got to pay for rent in the new area of Carmel Valley over by Canyon Crest Academy. So it's a little bit on the expensive side. And I just decided to, and I was just in a habit. I went there to pick it up. I ordered the food and it was a to-go order. And the lowest option I had was 20% on the tip. And I was just going through and I was punching numbers and I was like, why is my bill so ridiculous? And I'm like, oh, I don't know why. Maybe because I tipped 20%. What am I tipping for? What do I tip on as a to-go order? Like, I'm physically there to come pick up the food. Mm-hmm. I'm waiting. They're just making it and putting it in the boxes. It's not like I got table service or anything like that. I'm literally taking it to go. 20%? The bill is already $100. It's an expensive place. I feel like that place should make it on the drinks more than anything else.
Mm.
How much you tip for to-go order if you're going to physically go there, order it, and leave?
You don't. I'm sorry. You don't.
I saw it was a handful of years ago when Drew Brees was still in the NFL. He didn't leave a tip when he did the exact same thing. And he got, posted on social media. This guy doesn't tip. I mean, I feel like to-go needs to be if you're going to tip a to-go order, it's got to be a very small percentage. Let's say you have to tip, Frank. I know you're not tipping on a to-go order. You have to. What's the highest you would go? Like 10%?
No,
in Europe, dude, like they don't barely tip at all. It's like 10% at all.
I don't care about percentages. I'm giving you I had a thing at least when I would go out. If it was breakfast, if I went out for breakfast, I'd give a $5 tip. If it was dinner, I'd give $8. I don't care about percentages of my check. No, here's a 10. Have fun. That's it.
Our boy Tim in the chat, for small orders, a flat tip of $1 to $2 or a few dollars is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I'm not tipping a to-go order. Sorry.
Somebody else said, don't ever tip ever. I can't tip the fast food. I accidentally did it, but it was, and I looked at the price. I'm like, why are 4 burritos and some rolled tacos over $100? Oh, I don't know why. I tipped 20% on accident. My bad. I hate the little tip thing. You know what the tip thing? I think it's funny. We got to take a break. At the Poway Sportsplex, you got to pay to get in. It's part of the deal. They've been doing that for years. If you pay with card, it's an extra 50 cents, which I don't mind because I don't really carry cash too much. It's $3 to get in with the card. It naturally has like a tip. And I'm like, who's the tip for? Like, seriously, like, what is the tip for? Is it for, like, the high school kid that's sitting there on their phone reading a book while they're letting me pay to get in to play softball? I asked them one time. I asked the high school girl one time, like, just out of curiosity, how many people actually tip going into this? And she was like, surprisingly a lot. I'm like, do you get to keep those tips? I don't remember her answer. But I was like,
answer's probably no.
Answer's probably no. Bet you the place gets to keep it.
Here's
Tipping cash is good. Tipping cash. I did that the other day. Tipping cash is good.
Here's your donation to the Human Fund.
Thanks for doing your job. We appreciate it. Thought that was interesting. Now, do you think Bryce Harper gets a tip for his performance?
He's probably going to get a couple tips from Major League Baseball after the reports from last night.
An interesting report. Are we going to see at Survivor Series Bryce Harper versus Rob Manfred? That might be the battle you want to see. What did we hear over the weekend? Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll talk about it. Is there a battle in a cage match? I could probably think of 14 others that Frank knows about. Watch the WWE. But Bryce Harper, Rob Manfred, not really seeing eye to eye in a clubhouse over the weekend. We'll talk about it when we come back. So I've talked about this before. We're an international show. We had some people watching in Spain for a while. Then they came back here, so no longer in Spain. But my friend from time to time, who's stationed in Iraq, is able to tune in, and he said he'd love to have French fries. He hasn't had it in months, so the whole fries in the bag thing, he was like, "Hey, I'd take any fries in a bag at this point. I'd put the fries in the bag myself to get some French fries." He's supposed to return here, I think, in October, November. So hopefully everything's safe with him. Get it back here stateside. Will be great. Travis had an interesting deal. There should be, let me put it up on the screen, Friday night cathedral game called the B Serp night where we all go and watch football. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea, Frank. We got some pretty good tailgates, the alumni do.
There you go.
Put you in that suite up there at Cathedral.
Not bad.
It's a good little, it's a great vantage point.
You posted a video from there, this weekend?
This weekend that's because that's where we have our reunions now.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen like Cathedral Catholic and the football field. That looks really nice.
They had to clean the field before. But yes, so they have a video board now. They have video boards on all their venues. And then that particular thing is called the Zach. So Zach Myers, who was a Cathedral student and then became a teacher, really a great individual. He passed away of cancer. And so his parents wanted to build something nice in his honor. And so they donated the money to build that and a food pantry that we help out, I think, with Father Joe's. I can't remember, but we do have a food pantry for donations over at Cathedral. That's also in Zach Myers' honor. And when you walk into this phenomenal facility, they have a shrine for Zach. They have his high school diploma, his diploma from Marquette. You got a lot of pictures of him. And it's pretty cool. And then, so you walk in and they have like a bar with adult beverages and everything like that. They have beers and they have tequila and bourbon, all that stuff. They have 2 giant TVs. And on game day, you can watch games there. Like there's a certain price for it. I think for the homecoming, the alumni can sign up for it, but they stream the game online. So they have the two TVs on the stream. You could have the Padre game up there. I've watched the Padre game in there before. And then they have drinks and stuff like that. And with your ticket, it gets you all you can eat and drink. And then they have tiered seating in front of it, like stadium seats. And it's a great vantage point for high school football. You got a great view of the video board that they have there. It's pretty cool. So it's definitely something that nobody else has. We're fortunate enough to have it. We use it for a lot of different events. We use it for banquets and everything like that. Obviously, they do not have alcohol there for certain events that involve kids. It's a little bit different on this particular deal, but it's a pretty cool thing to watch. It's not, you won't see anything like it in high school football, really anywhere. And we're blessed to have that. So
short of Texas, probably.
Yeah, Texas probably has some suites. St. Augustine's got the same thing for basketball. They got a nice little alumni area that overlooks their arena. Have you ever been to Saints' basketball gym?
I have not, no.
There's a reason why they call it the Pit. It's built underground. Super cool, but they got the same thing. So
more or less like San Diego, more or less like Viejas.
Yeah, they got like the Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. So you have like a meeting area, and then they have their own seats and everything like that. So that's kind of what they do. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, maybe we should make it the B Serp game should be the Cathedral Scripps Ranch game, since it's my community versus my high school.
There you go.
You know what? Get some people to go to the Scripps Ranch Cathedral game.
We got Scravinator nights, and now we got B Serp nights.
His nights are at Padre games in the Odyssey suite. Mine are at the Cathedral Catholic for a Friday night football game.
Listen, we got to build up here. We're
That's
starting
right.
from the ground up. We got to, then it'll be San Diego State games, and then
that's right.
we got to build here.
That's right. So anyway, that's that. We have a little bit of time to talk about this. When it comes to the Harper blow up, I want to kind of talk about that instead at 12:30. But let's talk about this Emmanuel Clase thing. This is fascinating that this has happened. It's continuing to happen. Now, is this part of the probe that they had before with Luis Ortiz? Is this some of the extra names that they have gotten out? Is that what this is?
I'm not sure. Let me actually look and see here. Hopefully it doesn't ruin this recording.
I had the article. So Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase on Monday was placed on non-disciplinary paid leave through August 31st as part of Major League Baseball's investigation into sports gambling. The second Guardians pitcher to be caught up in the inquiry. So I think it's part of the same investigation.
It's what it sounds like then.
Guardians right-hander Luis Ortiz remains on non-disciplinary paid leave after originally being placed there on July 3rd after unusual gambling activity on 2 pitches he threw for balls, sources told ESPN. One of those first pitch of the game ball or strike bets. Or first pitch of the at-bat, something like that. In a statement, the Guardians said, quote, no additional players or club personnel are expected to be impacted by the investigation. The investigation, a source confirmed, has not turned up information tying other players with the team to sports gambling. Clase, who's 27 years old, is a 3-time All-Star, 2-time winner of the Mariano Rivera Award as the best relief pitcher in the American League. He finished 3rd in AL Cy Young voting last year when he posted a 0.61 ERA over 74 and a third innings. In 47 and a third innings this season, Clase has a 3.23 ERA and has already allowed more hits this year than last while striking out 47 and walking 12. His ties to the investigation that started following a June 27th alert from IC360, a firm that monitors betting markets for abnormalities, are unclear. Sportsbooks and gambling operators were alerted after a spike in action on Ortiz's first pitch in the bottom of the second inning against the Mariners on June 15th and in the top of the third inning against the Cardinals on June 27th, according to sources. In both cases, unusual amounts of money were wagered on the pitches being a ball or a hit batsman from betting accounts in New York, New Jersey, and Ohio, according to a copy of the IC360 alert obtained by ESPN. Both pitches wound up well outside the strike zone. At the All-Star game in mid-July, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said while he still supports legal gambling because of the transparency regulation offers, he was concerned about so-called micro bets, such as ones that offer action on individual pitches. We talked about this from a standpoint of, trade deadline, right? Like how this benefits the Padres in a sense of Robert Suarez now being probably more valuable at the trade deadline than anything else because Emmanuel Clase, who was expected to be traded. In fact, Jim Bowden said on Fair Territory this morning that the Phillies were really in on potentially acquiring Clase and Steven Kwan at the deadline. I mean, he was going to get shipped off. So we talked about it from the trade perspective, but now, again, this is yet another athlete that is being accused of manipulating some things on daily bets, on individual micro bets. And there's a lot of them out there. In California, you're not legally allowed to gamble on sports. Right? They haven't passed the legalization of sports gambling yet, like a lot of other states have. But if you have a DraftKings app or a FanDuel app and you use it for daily fantasy and you fire that thing up in states where gambling is legal, you could get yourself into a serious rabbit hole with all of these micro bets. And so you look at the NBA situation that they had where they ended up banning that basketball. I forget his name. They banned the player for, missing free throws or missing time. I think it was a very micro deal. You see the Ortiz thing on a lot of pitches. And now with the Emmanuel Clase, I mean, this is a new era of sports gambling problems where it's not throwing games. It's Jonte Porter. That was the basketball player. Thank you, Adam. It's not about throwing games. It's like individual micro bets that you're almost telling these guys are like whoever is doing this behind the scenes. And I'm sure there's a lot of influence out there for this, but not only this, but you can gamble like this on sports betting for college athletes. I mean, does anybody remember the Vanderbilt quarterback from a couple of years ago talking about how like every single team has people offering them money to throw certain things and everybody laughed at them? I mean, with every single one of these outlets and news breaks on sports gambling, the more believable it becomes. Or I'm like, oh, maybe he was on to something. Maybe he has been talked to about potentially throwing certain situations. But if you look at it from this perspective, you ask some of these athletes, hey, talking to Emmanuel Clase, we don't need you to throw the game. I just need you to miss this pitch. Talking to Ortiz, right, who's already been on leave. Luis Ortiz, hey, the first pitch of the game, I need it to be a ball. I mean, that seems easy enough for an athlete. For an extra couple million, whatever it is, whatever it may be, and we don't know the details on that. That's where it gets, like, I don't know how you govern it aside from a spike in bets on certain situations, which ultimately outed Ortiz, which has led to outing Emmanuel Clase and led to Jonte Porter being outed. I mean, these entities that are doing this are going to get wiser on these potential pickups and are going to try to finagle their betting as much as they can. But this is an interesting can of worms. This is the stuff that you open up when you legalize sports betting. It's like that quote from Jurassic Park. You're only worried about whether or not you could. You didn't stop to think whether or not you should. They make a lot of money on these sports betting apps. They make a lot of money on these sports betting entities paying money and advertising. I mean, it's all over our states. It's everywhere in sports. It's a big moneymaker. It's a big reason why the NFL is king. It's about gambling more than anything else. Not diehard fans watching their favorite sports team. You're going to start to see more of this. I don't know how you fix this problem. I really don't. It's going to be very difficult to try to fix this problem. But they've opened Pandora's box with the gambling. And there's a reason why it's been outlawed for so long. Because it usually leads to bad decisions and leads to, really bad things. So we'll see how this plays out. But I don't know how baseball gets in front of this. Let's talk about Bryce Harper and Rob Manfred when we come back. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Here, the new lunchtime hour brought to you by Craft Taco. Both flavors at 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Thanks again for tuning in. Should be a big week this week as we will keep you updated on anything that's going on the trade deadline and the trade market. Buster Only reporting this 27 minutes ago. Yankees continue to work on adding bullpen depth. According to rival evaluators, they have talked with other teams about right-handed hitting outfielders. Former Yankee Harrison Bader's among these discussed, as well as White Sox outfielder Austin Slater. Yankees bullpen has been the weakest part of the team this year, and they will be among the contenders likely to add relief before the deadline. That's the latest that we have so far from the MLB trade deadline. Several general managers have told Jim Bowden that the majority of the trades involving relievers will go down on Thursday. Quote, it's going to be a flurry and everybody's going to pivot once the first guy goes. It's just like that over-the-line slow build I told you about, Frank. Just the slow build. And when the bubble pops, it's going to be all over the place. And I think that's probably going to be the case against when it comes to the Padres and some of the moves that they make. I think that's going to be the case. So be patient. Strap in, because it's going to be a fun week here for the San Diego Padres. On top of the fact that they're playing games today and tomorrow and the next day against the New York Mets in a pretty big series for the San Diego Padres. Not only is that going on, but another big series in Cincinnati impacting the playoff race for the NL West, because the Dodgers are in town in Cincinnati, as well as the wild card with the Padres trying to fend off the Cincinnati Reds for the final playoff spot. Padres need to add at the deadline. If they go past the deadline without making any type of moves, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to be in trouble. When we come back in the next hour, we'll have an Aztec update for you. Sean Lewis meeting with the media today. Camp starts this week for San Diego State as they get ready for Stony Brook. Before we get to that, we did see this story that we want to talk about. Again, we talked about this for an hour on Friday. You know what my opinion is on Major League Baseball and this upcoming collective bargaining agreement. Both sides, in a greedy way, are being stubborn, and the arrogance of both sides of this potential CBA is going to lead to the destruction of their product if they continue to go down this path. And I am in favor of whatever makes baseball the most competitive league possible, because that ultimately is going to lead to more eyeballs, which is ultimately going to lead to more money, which means everybody's going to win in that particular sense. But neither side sees it that way. Philadelphia Phillies star Bryce Harper is added to this. He stood nose to nose with Rob Manfred. This is what the report says from ESPN. Nose to nose with Rob Manfred. I'm picturing them like this on YouTube. I mean, just like in Manfred's grill during a meeting between the Major League Baseball commissioner and their team last week. He gets in Rob Manfred's face, nose to nose. This is what it says. And says, quote, get the bleep out of our clubhouse. If Manfred wanted to talk about the potential implementation of a salary cap, the confrontation came in a meeting, one of the 30 that Manfred conducts annually in an effort to improve his relations with every team's players. That lasted more than an hour. Though Manfred never explicitly said the word salary cap, sources said the discussion about the game's economics raised the ire of Harper, one of MLB's most influential players and a two-time National League MVP. Ahead of the expiration of the collective bargaining agreement between Major League Baseball and the Players Association December 1st, 2026, multiple owners have stumped for a salary cap in baseball, the only major men's North American sport without one. The only one without one. The MLB Players Association opposes a cap, which it argues serves more as a tool to increase franchise values than to lessen the game's large disparity between high and low spending teams. Quiet for the majority of the meeting, Harper sitting in a chair and holding a bat eventually grew frustrated and said if MLB were to propose a cap and hold firm to it, players are not scared to lose 162 games. Sources from the meeting told ESPN. Harper stood up, walked toward the middle of the room, faced Manfred and said, if you want to speak about that, you can get the bleep out of our clubhouse. The thing that Bryce Harper and the players understand is they don't inherit the risk. They can skip 162. It's not going to affect their lives. They're set. You know what a guy that can skip 162? Bryce Harper can skip 162 with the amount of money he makes. He could do that. Players that can't do that are guys that are making league minimum. They can't afford to miss 162 unless the higher powers to be, the high-paid players, start writing them checks. I mentioned it last week. Every player in Major League Baseball, in the major leagues, is in the top 1% of earners in the United States. So a lot of this from both sides, because obviously you got billionaires and millionaires. People hate when you use that term, but the reality of the situation is fact. Everybody in this conversation is in the top 1% of earners in the United States of America. They make good money. But the difference is here, now again, is the lower level can't afford to miss an entire season. The minor leagues can't afford to miss an entire season. And the players at the top, the ones calling all the shots, they can use the players that aren't making as much money as they want and say we're doing this for them in the future. They're really doing it for themselves, because at the end of the day, they want to be able to make as much money as possible and be on a team that spends tons of money so they're surrounded by great talent. But again, that's not what makes a league the most competitive league. It makes it where there's like 5 or 6 teams that are very good, but it doesn't make it a competitive league. And there's no fault. There's still faulty owners too. The teams that don't spend any money can only cry poverty for so long, because if you own a major league franchise, there's nothing poverty about that franchise. So there's got to be a cap and a bottom. I mean, there's a way to make this league as competitive as possible. The one thing that these two entities cannot afford to do is go hand in hand and walk themselves off of a cliff. They can't do that. Missing an entire year of Major League Baseball in 2027 would be catastrophically bad for all parties. But they both would rather just be catastrophically screwed and potentially ruin the future of the sport, in which they all lose money, instead of compromising in the middle. The owners, if they want a salary cap, you better open the books, something that they would never do. But we're at the point now where Major League Baseball and their ownership groups understand that the competitiveness of the way the structure is for the league in terms of money is a little bit off, and it needs to be fixed. And a way to do that is a salary cap and a salary floor. Now, for the players, this is a great opportunity to get as much as humanly possible, because this is the major get that they're giving up with the salary cap, especially for the guys at the top. Get the books opened, have the luxury tax, have the salary cap fluctuate based on earnings for Major League Baseball, incorporate revenue sharing. Those are things that the owners don't want to do, especially the ones with the Dodgers and the Yankees that have all their own deals. Revenue sharing, open the books, more playoff money, more days off. I mean, there's ways to do it. Those are all the things that the owners don't want to give up, mixed with what the players don't want to give up. And the main thing the players don't want to give up is the salary cap, because that's their biggest bargaining chip. That is their biggest bargaining chip. So again, I feel it's missed by the top guys in baseball saying these things, like Bryce Harper, who can afford to just stop playing baseball. He doesn't even have to play anymore. He can afford to do that. But not everybody else in baseball can afford to do that. And where this is going, the owners are more aligned than the players are. And that's honestly what matters the most, as much as both sides try to win the public opinion. So we'll see what happens as this continues. Try to keep you updated on other news in the trade deadline. Do we have a contestant?
We do.
Let's get to today's Midday Sports Standoff before we mention a former Padre on the move.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who's playing today?
We have David in Del Cerro. David, how you doing today, bud?
Doing great, guys. How you doing?
Good, good. All right, so today's topic, honestly, I think this is what we may have done already, but we're going to do it again today because I had, again, 5 minutes to prepare for this. There are 12 cities with all 4 major sports teams. Can you name them? So, David, you have first crack.
I'll go with Los Angeles.
David, correct, on the board.
Chicago.
Braden, right in.
There's MLB, NHL, NBA, and
yeah,
NFL.
Mm-hmm. David.
Okay. My turn again?
Yep.
Let's go with, I believe, Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, correct. Braden.
Miami.
Correct. Both of you 2 for 2 so far. David.
Detroit.
Detroit.
Correct. Braden.
Denver.
Correct. Both of you 3 for 3. David.
Philadelphia.
Correct. Braden.
New York City.
There you go.
Even though they play in Jersey, it's okay.
Shut up.
I like the Wild play in St. Paul. So
David.
Twin Cities.
Phoenix.
No, Phoenix lost the Coyotes.
They don't have
last
hockey
year.
anymore.
Oh, that's right.
Braden.
Are we considering the Bay Area?
That depends. What side of the bay?
San Jose? Part of the San Francisco part of the hockey? That's like a gray area for most. The Sharks count?
Yes.
Okay.
There are 2 left. David, you need to get this one if you want a chance.
How many left?
2.
Okay.
Oh, 3. Sorry, 3. 3.
Detroit.
You
You already said Detroit.
Oh, Washington, D.C. That was the other one, yeah.
The District of Columbia.
Correct. Braden, you need to miss.
All right. So, God, we've had Chicago, New York, Minneapolis, Miami. What about, oh, they don't have baseball. We already said Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
I don't think there's any more in California.
Gonna have to buzz you out here.
Probably.
All right, David. You have a chance to at least mark a tie here.
Okay, how about Atlanta?
Nope.
No,
The Thrashers
Atlanta does
are
not have hockey
gone.
anymore.
The Thrashers are gone.
Braden.
All right, so we said Denver, Dallas. Oh, no, they don't have hockey. We said the Bay Area. We said Miami. We said Minneapolis. We said Detroit. We said Chicago. We said New York. We said D.C. Boston, Mass.
There is one more. David and Braden did say it.
How about Cleveland?
Nope.
Damn.
Unfortunately, David, that is 3 strikes. Braden, we did not say Dallas.
Oh, I thought I said
and that
Dallas.
was the last one.
Huh.
No.
That's why I didn't get it the last time. I'm like, well, I already said Dallas.
Dallas was the last one.
All right. Good work on that.
Thank you. Off
Last
we go.
minute after we've done it twice already. But you know what? Hey.
Shut up, man. Then you should have gotten it quicker.
I was remembering how many I had last time, but I thought I already said Dallas. Still got the dub, though. Aztec football update when we come back. And who's the Padre that got traded? Baseball coverage on 97 to the Fan, presented by T-Mobile at T-Mobile.com. And get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Thanks again for David and Del Cerro for competing in the midday sports standoff. If he was able to take me down, he would have been qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Park MGM Las Vegas, 2 tickets to Motley Crue on September 19th, and a $100 gas card. Catch Motley Crue's Las Vegas residency at Dolby Live at Park MGM September 12th through October 3rd. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. I want to clarify, former Padre has been traded, not a current Padre. Former Padre has been traded. Trying to get that out as quickly as possible for the hard out. Did not say former. Former Padre has been traded. The Detroit Tigers have acquired Minnesota Twins veteran starter Chris Paddock, who was also being pursued by the New York Yankees. Ken Rosenthal was on it. Could you imagine Sheriff Paddock in New York? How would that work out? Probably not great, Bob. So that was the big move that just happened. Again, a couple fringe moves working their way forward. John Lewis just finished his press conference. Frank is diligently putting together some cuts about what to expect out of the Aztecs football season. And one of the announcements, as Adam Paul pointed out, if you're an Aztec season ticket holder, John Lewis said that you're able to attend practices for the first 2 weeks of fall camp. So it would be nice to, we'll get the details on that, but if you're an Aztec season ticket holder, go check out the boys at practice. If they practice at times that we could go, we'd like to go ourselves, Frank and I. Maybe I can use my parents' season tickets for that. They got season tickets to the Aztecs. They open up against Stony Brook in week 1, and we're getting closer and closer to college football season, which is going to be good. Did anybody see the report? It happened today that there's a couple things actually after this weekend. Awful Announcing had it this morning. They like to regurgitate a lot of stuff. But the report that Garrett Crochet, Red Sox pitcher, was not happy with how much love Fox gave the Dodgers this weekend over the Boston Red Sox. Garrett Crochet calls out Fox for Dodgers heavy broadcast, quote, played them 30 times. The Boston Red Sox beat the Dodgers 4-2 in MLB on Fox Saturday game of the week, but if you were watching the broadcast, you might have assumed the defending champs had walked it off in extras. Garrett Crochet said he didn't make any real adjustments after his rough first inning and was annoyed. MLB on Fox broadcast kept replaying his 2 bad pitches from the first inning. Quote, Fox had played them 30 times. You'd think that the Dodgers won tonight. New York radio host Evan Roberts has lobbied similar complaints during national broadcasts, frustrated by what feels like never-ending Dodgers infatuation. When the Mets hosted LA earlier this year in a series spread across Apple TV Plus, Fox, and ESPN, David Cohn flat out suggested the only reason Citi Field was full was because the Dodgers were in town. Fox didn't go that far on Saturday, but it also didn't do much to acknowledge the team that actually won the game. Crochet was all mad about it. Welcome to our world, Garrett. Every single time a national media game. Here's the thing. I'm kind of in the middle on this. Just because, I understand from the business side of things that you want to play the hits. And for a lot of people, you have to understand, Major League Baseball on television, especially nationally televised games, these are games that are broadcasted to a lot of people, and some of them aren't baseball fans. And so I understand the selling point on, the Dodgers over anybody else that they might potentially play, especially if they're playing a small market team. So when the Dodgers play the Padres, again, everything's dumbed down for an audience that's not watching those particular teams on a daily basis like we are when we watch the Padres and Dodger fans are when they watch the Dodgers. That's why you get a lot of the storylines that are super basic that we've covered thousands of times. But that being said, the fact that the Red Sox are complaining about it right now is hilarious. I mean, it's bad. I mean, you have 2 iconic franchises battling it out of a weekend series, in which the Red Sox outplayed the Dodgers and took 2 out of 3. But you even got Red Sox players complaining about the coverage of one particular team over the other. That's pretty wild. I mean, that's when you know you're at a different level of just, as the kids say, glazing. The Dodger glaze is ridiculous. It's at unhealthy amounts right now, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they are the international team in Major League Baseball because of, obviously with the Japanese superstars that they have, they're big in Japan. That's a big market for Major League Baseball. Full trade for the Chris Paddock deal. Detroit receives Chris Paddock and Randy Dobnak. Minnesota receives first baseman / catcher Enrique Jimenez. Let me know about that. Does that move anybody? Does anybody really care? I personally don't. Padres started 3-game series against the Mets today. We'll talk more about this later on. Frankie Montes, Sean Manaea, Clay Holmes are the announced starters for the New York Metropolitans against the San Diego Padres. Padres have only announced one starter, Dylan Cease, tonight. TBD tomorrow, which is Yu Darvish's spot in the rotation. And Nick Pivetta on Wednesday would be the spot, but they also announced yesterday that it would be TBD. So curious to see how the rotation plays out after today with Dylan Cease on the mound. Dylan Cease really needs a bounce back. Again, Dylan Cease needs to be able to string a couple of starts in a row and get things going here. And it could be his last start in a Padres uniform if the Padres find a move for him at the deadline in order to improve other areas. Should the Padres take from their starting pitching or their bullpen depth to try to improve other spots on the team? When you got two guys, most notably on expiring contracts, it might behoove the Padres to potentially do said things. So who knows? This might be the last start for Dylan Cease in a Padres uniform tonight down at Petco Park. So the Padres and Mets start their 3-game series tonight. We talked about the crucial 42. We talked about that earlier in the show. And as I mentioned before, and it's funny, I saw this tweet scrolling during the break about the status of the Padres. The Padres here in this last relatively 5 or 6 years have been highly competitive, right? They've made the postseason 3 times out of the last 5 years. They're trying to make it 4 of 6 this season. They have superstars on the roster, regardless if they play up to the superstar level or not. They got guys like Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. Xander Bogaerts is on the team. You have a lot of star names, household names that people in Major League Baseball know, or should I say people that watch Major League Baseball know. You are starting to see Padres uniforms all over the place in Padres jerseys, hats. You're seeing a lot of young people repping the Padres all over the country. And I don't know if these kids are from San Diego and they're just out there on vacation. I highly doubt some of these places that they're in are vacation spots, but you're starting to see Padres gear a lot more. You have arguably what could be one of the best prospects coming up in Major League Baseball in Leo DeVries. And you're right there in the middle of everything. For the last handful of years, you've been right in the middle of free agency. You've been right in the middle of trade talks. You've been right in the middle of a lot of different things in Major League Baseball. It's a major talking point, a major franchise right now in the grand scheme of things in Major League Baseball with a top 10 payroll. It's a good time to be a Padres fan right now. Now, I know fans want the Padres to finally get that first World Series. It comes with time, and you're not going to win it tomorrow. And I know that is a big feeling for a lot of Padres fans out there, myself included, growing up in this town and my family being here for 4 generations. But this is some of the best time to be a Padres fan is right now. It's funny, I was texting one of my friends before today's show, and he's announced that he's having a kid, which is super cool. So a big congratulations to my friend Ryan, who is going to be a father for the first time. And he says, that's the good news. The bad news is I'm raising to be a Padres fan, so a life of misery. And I responded with, I think a lot of the misery is behind us. And I think it is. Are there some kind of doom and gloom that might surface a little bit here in the future with some of these contracts and long-term contracts? I think so. But I think right now is a great time to be a Padres fan. A lot of people will sway you out of that thinking it's way worse than it really is. I mean, think about where you're at right now as a Padres fan. In this moment right now at 1:10 on July 28, 2025, this is the landscape of the Padres. You have broken attendance records at Petco Park. I mean, the Padres, Petco Park is packed every single night. The amount of all of these sellout streaks. Petco Park is the place to be in town in the summertime in San Diego. It is. It's the place to be. You have stars on your team with Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. Manny's playing right now, and his career has been like he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You have some local ties to the team with guys like Joe Musgrove, who had just thrown a no-hitter not too long ago, even though he's on the injured list. And when you look at the landscape of the San Diego Padres, I talked about the prospect in Leo DeVries coming up potentially, and I've talked about, where you stand making the playoffs 3 out of the last 5 years, trying to make it 4 or 6 this year. Look at the overall standings right now at 110, like I mentioned, or 111 now, on July 28, 2025. The Padres are a game in front of Cincinnati for the wild card spot. You're in playoff contention. Obviously, you'd like that to be a little bit better. But you're only 4 games behind LA, which anybody that would have been asked about this in spring training after the offseason the Dodgers had, after them winning a World Series, all the money they spend, and you told anybody in spring training the Padres would be 4 games out of first place on July 28, 2025, they'd be ecstatic. I'd be ecstatic. I'd be like, are you kidding me? What a massive collapse by LA. You're only 4 games back of the division. And when you look at the rest of the National League, you're only 5.5 games back of being the number 1 seed in the National League. I mean, think about that for a second. Think about previous years for the Padres, like where they're at on July 28th. Just look back to last year. I mean, the Padres finally came back a little bit last year around this time after starting their first 100 games 50-50. But last year at this time, 6 games above 500, but in the division race on July 28th, because I got to pull it back up, 2024, 6.5 games out of first place. Slightly better. I guess it could be better. But they're relatively in the conversation. Trade deadline this week. We'll see what the Padres can string up. But as of right now, it's a good time to be a Padres fan. And so enjoy it while you have it. I've been trying to say that all year. You're starting to get some play out of some of these guys. We know about all the problems the Padres have had. But like I mentioned before, when you start talking about where you're at right now in 2025, in the thick of this thing, during the trade deadline, 4 games out of the division, in a current wild card spot, and there's only a couple of teams that you got to hold off. This is a big week, though, for San Diego in the trade deadline. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we'll get to Davis and San Diego on the phones. We will also talk a little bit about Frank and I's adventure to San Diego FC over the weekend and get you updated on what happened with Aztec football earlier today, as well as some Padres talk as we preview Padres and Mets coming up later on this afternoon. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Finishing up here on a Monday, got a couple segments left. Again, we'll pass along any type of news that we might get on Major League Baseball. Sounds like Jed Hoyer is extending his time in Chicago. Team source has confirmed the Cubs have agreed to a multi-year contract extension with Jed Hoyer. Taylor McGregor on that one from Watch Marquee. Anyway, so Jed Hoyer gets a contract extension. They're just giving out deals to everybody left and right. So that's the latest on the trade deadline. We got an update on Aztec football. I want to get to your phone calls, though. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get to Davis in San Diego. Davis, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
What's up? I don't have a trade today, but I have people I think the Padres should target.
All
Two
right.
of them. They're both on the Pirates. Mitch Keller, he might be a bit expensive, though. A ton of teams are targeting him. And one guy I think would be underrated is Andrew McCutchen. But I don't know if he'd want to leave Pittsburgh.
Well, I like Kutch. I think Kutch looked great in a Padres uniform. McCutchen's up there in age. He's left Pittsburgh before. Has he left Pittsburgh multiple times now? Is this his second stint?
Once. Yeah, this is his
second stint.
Yeah.
So you look at a guy like Andrew McCutchen. How old is he now? 30-something? What is he? He is 38 years old. He's got a 0.3 WAR, 9 home runs, 248 batting average, a good solid average major league player. His OPS plus is 96, so just below average right there. I'd like to see. I'd like to see Andrew McCutchen on the team. The thing with McCutchen is he's still trying to track down a World Series. At age 38, he knows he's not going to do that in Pittsburgh. He has now spent 3 more years in Pittsburgh after spending a long time in Pittsburgh and then being in San Francisco and the Yankees and Philadelphia and a small stint in Milwaukee. I think he still has a little bit left. So I wouldn't be opposed to Andrew McCutchen potentially being a Padre. I think it's a good ask there, Davis. Those are the type of players we're talking about in terms of like rentals, veterans, average baseball players. I tell you what, I'd rather watch McCutchen hit than probably the last 3 spots in the Padres order. I mean, you'd bring in a guy like Andrew McCutchen. He could play left field, probably DH a little bit. He's going to be better than your 7, 8, and 9 currently in the batting order. And if you have him coming in batting 8th or 9th in your batting order for 40% of $5 million, it's not bad. It's an average major league player that's not going to cost you a lot because he is a impending free agent at age 38. His last opportunity to potentially win a World Series. I'd take a waiver on Andrew McCutchen. Would that be my only move that I made? No. But I'd take a waiver on him. You'd probably have to give up like a single A arm for a guy like Andrew McCutchen, if that. Don't mind it. Now, Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller is 29 years old. He is part of the rotation. He has a contract through 2028. He's a free agent in 2029. $15 million a year, $16 a year. It's $15 million a year for his luxury tax threshold. It's paid up to $20 million in 2028. Mitch Keller's a solid arm. But again, Mitch Keller would be an ad if I decided to part ways with somebody else. So for me, that's, I'd have to, I'd go get a Mitch Keller if you decided to get rid of Cease or something like that. But I'd take McCutchen. People in the chat say, no, we don't need average players. That's exactly what you need. You need average players. There's no superstars available at the trade deadline. You need average players. You can afford average players, and just a couple of average players help the roster out. I mean, McCutchen's doing pretty much what Donovan Solano did last year at David Peralta. Everybody screamed that they didn't have those guys last year. I mean, it's basically the same thing. I'd have to look exactly what David Peralta did last season. But, I mean, to get a guy that hits 250, that's pretty solid at the bottom of your order, especially when you look at what you currently have at the bottom of the order. David Peralta last year hit 267. So he's slightly behind David Peralta. He's got more home runs than David Peralta did last year. David Peralta was 36. Andrew McCutcheon's still playing this year. I wouldn't mind it. I would like Cal Raleigh. Wouldn't we all? They weren't going to trade for Josh Naylor because the Diamondbacks weren't going to trade Josh Naylor in the division. Mitch Keller is another Cease. No, he's not. Mitch Keller's not as good as Dylan Cease. Got a lot of years of control on that, though. 833-288, and I appreciate the phone call, Davis. 288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get to Aztec football real quick. Sean Lewis met with the media today to get ready for upcoming camp. Here's what Sean Lewis had to say about upcoming events for Aztec football.
Starting Wednesday through the 13th, current season ticket holders, come on out. Want to show, say thanks and thank you for your support and engage with you more and build those bonds and build those connections. We also dropped last week a little save the date information about FanFest, which will be on August 14th. So 2 weeks out from the season opener, we'll be kicking off at 7:05. It'll be an open scrimmage for all of our fans to be able to come out, support this new Aztec team, right? And be able to get a first glimpse, first look at what this team looks like in a full scrimmage opportunity. We're also going to be showing off for the first time some new game day experiences, introducing some new game day traditions that's going to make Snapdragon the place to be this fall. So want our fans to be a part of that. A little bit of dress rehearsal for the fans as well. So 2 weeks from that date, we can have an awesome home experience.
Talking about how a little bit different feeling around this year's team.
I think there's a greater level of comfort and connection in the building than there was a year ago. I think just the time on task that we have had together that ultimately leads to confidence, right? And, trust within the building. And I think anytime that you're confident in what you're doing, I know our kids and our staff believe in our process and they're trusting one another and the work that's getting done. That's ultimately going to yield a better product on the field and better results on the scoreboard.
I think so too. Continuity, Sean Lewis talked about.
No, I think continuity is a byproduct of the day-to-day experiences that you have, right? And so we've had the good fortune of, majority of the retention of our roster, the majority of the guys that we've been able to keep tied together, right, are leaders. And most importantly, too, we only had one staff member that had a great opportunity to move along. Like that's always been, at this level, so to speak, right? Like the continuity and the connection of your staff to be able to have the familiarity of how you're going to do the process and work each phase as you go. So, a lot gets made about the doom and the gloom of where we're at in college football. And I think it's an exciting opportunity to embrace and to lean into with everything that's going on, right? Like we have an ascending university with an R1 institution. We have an athletic department that's going to the Pac-12. The details of the new Pac-12 Media Day, deal will continue to come down. That's only going to benefit our program and all the programs. And as we continue to put a better product on the field, I know there'll be more people in the community that will come out and support us. And that's going to build and lead to momentum, right? That will lead to ultimately the continuity and the retention of our roster year in and year out, and to be able to have the development over time that our fans and that, the general public has become accustomed to.
Hang on. He had me on the Research Institute, and then he lost me on the Pac-12 stuff. Well, something specifically.
It's a power conference. It's a power conference, Braden. Come on.
No, it's not, Frank.
God, it's a power conference. Stop saying it's not.
It's not. It's not a power conference.
The P in Pac-12 stands for power. Everyone thinks it stands for Pacific. It doesn't. The P in Pac-12 stands for power.
Put that new conference together on NCAA 26. Have you done that yet?
Yes, I have.
It's like a B- rating for conference prowess.
Power. Okay. Power
conference. That lost me, and there's one other thing Sean Lewis said that lost me. We'll tell you when we come back. Final hour, our final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show, Sandless #1 Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Caller Davis threw out some names. Love when Davis does that. How old is Davis, do you think?
I'd say early teens would be my guess.
Like 13 or 14. Do you think he's in high school yet?
Probably getting there.
Do you think we're going to stop getting phone calls from Davis once the school starts? Him calling from like recess or lunch would be hysterical.
The Braden Surprenant Show fully endorses doing your homework instead of calling into a radio station.
Action over words, Frank? You're the one that just slapped together 2 segments at the last minute. But you know what?
Learn
Frank
from my mistakes.
He got the job done. Didn't you, Frank?
Of course.
There were some times in high school where, so I was on the block system at Cathedral. They've changed it now, but we had the shortest day in San Diego. It was great. We'd start at 8:10. We'd be out by 2. We'd have 3 classes a day. So what time do you think I did my first class homework? On the drive to school. When would I do the homework for for my second period class? In the 15-minute break.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And then when would I do my homework for the last class of the day? Oh, definitely at lunch. You know that saying, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. It's not what the homework is, it's when you do it. You know,
exactly, yeah.
I got it done. That's all that mattered. It's a lot of projects I knew I could do in the library. And that was before you would submit things online now, like to make it a lot easier. I had to like physically print out papers. So I remember when I was older, some freshman teachers I had that I know I could trust. I'd go into their classroom at lunch and get stuff printed because printing at the library was such a pain. Back when the library actually had books in it. The library now has no books on it. It's just like a giant study area because they have iPads and stuff.
Yeah.
No reason to have books in the library. None of them were ever checked out. I wonder what they did with all those books. Who knows? Anyway, we'll see if Davis calls in during the school year. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get to Nate and San Marcos before we get to Aztec football. Nate, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? You were talking about, I just got back in the truck and I heard you talking about homework. I used to do my homework and the in-class work in the class. Before I left the class, I'd ask the teacher, hey, when I got in the classroom, what's going to be our homework tonight? I would immediately, with both hands, one hand doing the in-class work, the other hand doing the homework. It's in the basket. We're done. We don't go home and do homework.
Wow, the guy was ahead of times. Love it, Nate. I'll do it the last minute. Get it done. We don't do our shows like that. Frank is usually on par with the rundowns.
Yes, because I value my sleep.
That's right. It's good to get that stuff done. That was the best part about not having to go to school anymore. When you got home from work, it's done. You don't have to do it. There's no homework.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have to worry about working anymore. Don't have to study for anything. Most of the stuff that we do that's extra is because we love sports and we love talking about sports. So it's more stuff I'd be doing anyway. All right. There's one more clip from Sean Lewis I wanted to play from today. Sean Lewis on what they learned in the last 6 games of last season for Aztec football.
I mean, there was 3 games at the start and throughout the season, right, with Central Michigan, Wazoo, and New Mexico that you lose by a combination of 9 total points, right? And so we have a great collection of talent that's becoming a team, and that team needs to learn how to win, and that's what this time of year is for, right? And so that's being focused and having great attention to detail. That's taking ownership of all the things that we put down, both the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And then finding the most smart and effective way to go about what we're doing. And then when push comes to shove, when the moments show up, just like life, having the mental and physical toughness to endure and to win and to find yourself on the right side of those ledgers. And so that's been what this climb has been all about. It starts with the connection and the foundation of the people in the building, really pouring into them as we go. And then now we're in this really cool moment of the season where all eyes are on us, where we've been quietly working in the dark for a very, very long time. But for the next 24 days until we break camp, we get to exponentially get better because we get to kind of go sequester ourselves in this football bubble and really get good at our craft.
He said a lot of important things in that press conference today. He said a lot of things, a lot of coach speak stuff too. Some of the stuff I was buying in on, some of it was not, but a lot of the stuff that I was not buying in on is not Sean Lewis deals. That's more of like the school in general. And that's on the side of the whole Pac-12 thing, right? I had totally forgotten about the Pac-12 media deal, Frank.
Yeah,
because they said in March, I think it was 2 weeks away. Have we made it to we got the deal yet?
Nope.
They're still working on it.
Well, it's not the end of March yet.
Oh, did they say March 2026? Oh, no, they didn't. They didn't say March 2026.
They did, yeah,
it's
they
the end
didn't
of July,
They
I guess.
didn't specify
it could be
what
any end
March.
of March, I guess. Okay.
They didn't specify which March, so relax. Give them a chance to breathe, okay? Power conferences have a lot of things going on. You can't just expect these things like instantly.
So are they going to be part of that group of the 4-4-2-2-1 plan for the college football playoff? Is the Pac part of the 4 or the 2 or the...
Yeah.
They're part of the 6 conferences that might get 1.
Listen.
Okay.
Listen.
Okay.
Again, got to relax on these things. All right. It's the Power Act 12. All right. Just got to
Power Act 12.
Give it time.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Go Aztecs. Don't be upset when it passes the Big 12. They got to pass the ACC first before they pass the Big 12. Give me a break. We're going to be in a new the Pac-12. The overselling of the Pac-12 gets me every time. It gets me every time. It's like, okay, yeah, we know it's slightly better than Mountain West, but it's still not a power conference. It's still the same group of teams that you've been playing for the last 2 years.
I don't know. Have you seen Boise State?
Yeah, until they get a bid to go somewhere else when the ACC implodes. You see that story? North Carolina wants to go to the SEC. Oh, wouldn't we all? North Carolina. North Carolina could probably actually do it because that's part of the region that the SEC currently does not have is North Carolina. They don't want Florida State. The Big 12's waiting for carnage. It's got to change again. It's got to change over again. But that was the latest from Sean Lewis. If you missed any of it earlier, again, season ticket holders, you'll be allowed to go to practice. Go to goaztecs.com to kind of figure that out. If you have season tickets, you'll be allowed to attend any of their practices over the next 2 weeks during their training camp, which is super cool. More access to Aztec football, I think, is better for Aztec football as they try to build something here in San Diego. They got the stadium now. Their tenants do really well at the stadium, but the owners of the stadium, San Diego State, need to do a lot better with said stadium. A lot of that has to do with scheduling, the new Mountain West, the Pac-12. I don't know if that's going to be a major factor. Seeing teams like Colorado State roll into town. Oh, they already see those teams. I think their schedule's very favorable, the Aztec schedule. Most of their difficult opponents are at home, with the exception of Washington State on the road. They have to play Northern Illinois as well on the road. But I think San Diego State's going to have a pretty big bounce back year. There's something to be said about guys not leaving in the portal, which is that's very big in college football nowadays. They didn't have a lot of guys leaving the portal. They keep most of their defense. They got 2 quarterbacks right now, which is a little concerning to me. If you have 2 quarterbacks, Frank, how many quarterbacks do you have?
1 too many.
Yeah, you have 0 quarterbacks. So Sean's optimistic. Obviously, he said in an interview, I think earlier this week, last week, about how they want to use a 2 quarterback system with their 2 guys. I don't know how that's going to work. But like I said, the Aztec schedule is very favorable. Stony Brook is going to be an interesting tester early in the season. They got Washington State on the road, a team that they lost at home to by 1 possession, a team that I don't know if they really improved during the offseason. But you kept most of your defense in the portal last year. And the only guy that ended up leaving was somebody that wasn't going to stay in San Diego State anyway. Plus, it didn't sound like he was really someone that they wanted to follow behind anyway. And the quarterback that went to Wisconsin, Danny O'Neill. Sounds like they're getting a lot better production right now out of their current quarterback system than what they had before. I like what San Diego State's doing behind the scenes. I talked about that last week. It sounds like their rushing attack is going to be good. And even though they are Aztec fast, talking with some of the players, They're running the football a lot, and they got a nice two-headed monster back there with Lucky Sutton and Byron Caldwell that can do really well. They're going to do very well. And they're two local kids, one from Saints, one from Cathedral. I'm telling you, they're going to be able to run the football. They're going to move fast. Their defense is improved. And I think they're going to be a little bit more of a contender than you would think. And a contender for maybe missing out on the Mountain West Championship game, but not a contender in the sense that they'll be able to beat a lot of power schools. But I think they're going to be able to turn around a little bit. And a lot is off of Sean Lewis's plate now. A lot is off Sean Lewis's plate now with the hiring of a general manager, which is great. So, I like what I'm seeing out of that. That's not the only team participating at Snapdragon Stadium. San Diego FC had a big win on Friday night. Frank and I were in attendance, had a great time at Snapdragon. Ran into our friend Drake Hills at the stadium, gave him a T-shirt. But overall, it was my first experience of San Diego FC. The supporters did a great job, kept things fun. And San Diego FC with a big win over Nashville SC, who is near the top of the leaderboard in the Eastern Conference. That's a big win for San Diego FC, especially with some of the transfers having to go back. But good start to the second half, Frank.
No, absolutely. In third place, Nashville SC in the Eastern Conference. So that was a quality opponent. And we saw it throughout the game. Nashville was actually keeping pace with them. They're one of the very few teams that I've seen this year that's actually been able to keep pace with them. But you could tell the game started to get chippy and a little bit more chippy and a little bit more chippy. Some harder fouls were being committed by Nashville. And it all coincided with the time of possession starting to shift back towards San Diego FC's way. So they were, once they started to not be able to play with them anymore, they really started to get chippy and started to play a little bit of a rougher style. But yeah, it was a fun night, a fantastic night. Chucky Lozano with a goal, I think 10 minutes into the second half.
That was a great goal too, by the way.
And then Anders Dreyer, who scored right at the very end, but didn't score, but he did score, but he didn't score. So I honestly don't know. Yeah. The empty net goal should have counted. It did. Statistically, it did count for him. If you look at the match facts, it shows that was a goal for Anders Dreyer. However, it's still a 1-0 win for San Diego FC.
Yeah, mine said 2-0 on my deal after the game. It was 2-0 all the way through, and then you said it was 1-0, whatever. But he still gets the credit for the goal.
Yes.
Okay, that's odd.
Yeah, I don't get it either, honestly. That's the first time I've actually seen a situation like that I can remember.
Tomorrow they play Pachuca.
Yes, at Snapdragon at 8:00. That'll be on FS1. It'll also be on MLS League Pass.
Right, FS1, which means I get to watch it.
Yes.
We'll be able to tune in. Leagues Cup competition. We talked about it last week with Drake, but to fill anybody else in that doesn't know about Leagues Cup, Frank, what is Leagues Cup?
Oh, I have not really paid attention to Leagues Cup, so I'm going to educate myself while I educate all of you.
Okay, Leagues Cup.
It's an annual soccer competition between the clubs from the Major League Soccer, the MLS, and from Liga MX. Basically, it's the club version of the Gold Cup, but only between the U.S. and Mexico.
And then the handful of teams that play in Canada for the MLS.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Essentially. So that starts, and again, as Drake said, they don't have pools. They have two groups, but they're gigantic groups.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to win to advance a lot. You have to win a lot to advance. They have 3 games on the schedule. One of them starts tomorrow against Pachuca, and we'll have more information on that or how they did, obviously, as the week goes on. Mm-hmm. And then more about the Leagues Cup on Friday with Drake Hills, as San Diego FC is at the top of the Western Conference with a nice little cushion right now. And we'll see how they can continue into August as they get to the dog days. And again, leading into October. But they'll have Pachuca, Tigres, and Mazatlan in their next couple of games here. all of them being at Snapdragon Stadium. The game against Tigres will be on Friday, August 1st, right? That's Friday.
Yes.
And then their next match will be on August 5th against Mazatlan, and then we'll see how that continues. Their next MLS match will be in Kansas City against Sporting Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
They won't be back in San Diego for a MLS match until August 23rd when they host the Portland Timbers.
And I believe we worked this out the other night where we will have Drake Hills in studio.
Yes, we're going to try to
Friday.
get Drake in studio on Friday. Correct.
So that'll be fun.
And we'll start, as we get into the month of August, we'll start having our usual kind of fall entities. We'll start working with Eddie Brown back, get you ready for fantasy football, start implementing more college football, more NFL, with your overall Padres content. And to finish the show, let's get a Mets preview with Frank Marchese, since he is Mr. Met today with the jersey.
Mets going to win. No.
Okay.
No, the Mets are... This is going to be a very competitive series all the way around. The Padres always play the Mets tough, especially here. I've been to several bludgeonings that the Padres have given the Mets here over the years. One to the point where I actually went into left field back when you could still do that and started heckling Jason Bay myself. But anyway,
he saw the Mets jersey and he thought it was a friendly. It was not a friendly.
Yeah, no, this is probably like 2012, 13, like right in that range after Jason Bay had the concussion in LA and really fell off a cliff after that. The thing that's going to be the difference maker in this series is going to be starting pitching. Frankie Montas has given up a lot of runs, has not pitched deep into games since he has returned. Dylan Cease, we've seen he's had the one bad inning that has really blown up on him. Mets know they're going to throw Cease's arm off. Sean Manaea returns tomorrow. This is his third start since coming back off the IL, and then it's Clay Holmes. That should be a fun one for you guys. Tomorrow, again, going up against Yu Darvish and Pivetta. Those are the two that are in line. That would be their spots in the rotation, would be Darvish and Pivetta. I think if the Mets were going to win one game, it's most likely going to be tomorrow. I think tonight,
TBD.
Yeah. Tonight, I believe, is going to be a toss-up, and if it is going to be Nick Pivetta versus Clay Holmes when we are there for the show before the game, I believe that would be the Padres have a very good chance at going to taking 2 out of 3 in this series.
Well, as we mentioned before, from the Padres' perspective, it's a big 3 days here for the Padres. Not only are you going against the Mets, who are trying to battle for the number 1 spot in the National League.
Mm-hmm.
Padres are 5.5 games behind the Cubs/Brewers, who are also playing this week in a very big week in the National League race. You look across to the other 2 teams that the Padres have to worry about. One in the division, the Dodgers, are in Cincinnati taking on the Reds, who you currently have to worry about in the wild card. The only other team left is the San Francisco Giants. Giants this week are hosting Pittsburgh. Mitch Keller is on the mound tonight for Pittsburgh, one of their best, at 4-10 with a 3.53 ERA. So a very important 3 days for the San Diego Padres, not only going against the Mets, Dodgers and Reds, Pirates and Giants. 6:40 start, 5:40 pregame show with Sam Levitt. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Scraby up next for Frank Marchese and Braden Surprenant. Talk to you guys tomorrow.